evening and welcome to the April 16th, 2026 Board of Trustees and Budget Workshop meeting for Johnson County Community College. If you'll please stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, with that, looking at the dais, we do have 5 members of the board that are present, or we have 6 with Trustee Cross on the line. Is that correct?
Here.
Okay, I believe we have 6 present with Trustee Cross joining us online. All right, we are going to begin this evening with our budget workshop, and we are going to try to keep that contained within the hour so we can also roll right into our meeting. But please come on up to the dais and walk us through the budget process. Megan, I was like blanking as I was reading. Megan, I'm so sorry. Megan Casey, thank you so much.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Megan Casey. I'm Vice President and Chief Financial Officer here. It's a pleasure to join you all for our annual budget workshop. I believe all of the trustees should have a hard copy of the budget workshop book before you. For our audience members or for those who may be watching the live stream, this information can be found on our website, jccc.edu. In the search bar, you can type annual budget. That page houses 5 years of our audited financial statements, 5 years of our annual budget, and then 5 years of our budget workshop book. I want to give a special shout out to Debbie Storman and Chandra Russell, our budget team. Many thanks for them for putting this book together and all their work in budget development and management and guiding the campus through that important work. Okay, so over the next 45 minutes for me, and then to allow time for questions, we will walk through the budget workshop, and then in more detail, we'll go through a small presentation and just talk through the fiscal year 27 proposed budget. Okay, so on page 1 here, our budget always starts with our mission, our vision, and values. We are always striving to adopt and recommend a budget that allows us to, 1, make sure we are responsibly managing the resources that we receive and that we are meeting our mission, and then also informed by our strategic goals and the various strategic plans that we have on campus. We have our academic master plan, our strategic enrollment plan, our workforce development plan, and then now our updated facilities master plan that also guides our budget development work. So in December, on page 6 here, we brought before you preliminary budget guidelines that allowed us to begin preparing our budget for fiscal year 27. These were approved in December, and I'll highlight just a few things on this page. So our enrollment, we budgeted a credit hour enrollment increase of 4% over fiscal year 26. And then also approved in December was tuition and fee rate increases or cost per credit hour increase. So for just the tuition portion of our tuition and fee rate, Johnson County residents will expect to receive a 4% increase in tuition, and our other residencies will receive a 5% increase. Also included in that cost per credit hour increase is a $2 increase to our student activity fee. And so total increases, $5 for Johnson County residents, $7 for our in-state Kansas residents, $13 for our out-of-state or international students, and then $9 for our metro rate. The metro rate began in fiscal year 16, and that is for residents in Missouri in certain zip codes that allows them to receive a little bit cheaper rate. And then we also know for fiscal year 27 that there will be a 4.5% across the board salary increase. Now on page 8, usually between December and now, we receive updated information from the county and then also from the state. So the only change to the budget guidelines that we shared before is that we are anticipating an increase in our state operating grant, which is our tiered and non-tiered funding, based on the funding formula. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail here shortly. have our budget calendar. So we're here in April at our budget workshop. No action obviously is being taken today. We're just walking through the workshop book. But then in May, we'll bring forth a formal recommendation for you all to adopt our budget for fiscal year '27. And that management budget that we'll discuss in May allows us to begin doing business on July 1. There is a lot of work that takes place between now and July 1 so that we can continue doing business. And then between June and September, that begins our legal budget adoption process, and we have required hearings that we'll also talk through too a little bit later. Okay, so we will start with revenues unless there's any questions.
Anybody have questions so far? All right, I think we're doing great.
Okay, so for fiscal year '27, we are budgeting a little over $208 million in revenue. $138 million is coming from our property taxes. That continues to be the largest source of our revenue, followed by tuition and fees at 16%. Included in that $32 million is the tuition and fee increases, plus the 4% increase in credit hour enrollment that we are budgeting for. And then state aid, that is our operating grant and our Excel and CTE funding. Other income is investment income or daycare revenue. Smaller sources of revenue are included in that other income category. On page 17, it shows a 10-year history of our actual revenue and then our fiscal year '26 budgeted revenue along with fiscal year '27. The one thing I'll note on this page, fiscal year '25 was the last time that we raised tuition and fees. We held tuition and fees flat for fiscal year '26. And then the fiscal year '27 budget again includes that tuition and fee increase and then our expected property tax revenue. So on page 18 here, what guides the amount of revenue, property tax revenue that we'll receive is both the mill levy that you all set plus changes in assessed valuation. So since fiscal year 14 or so, assessed valuation has continued to increase. But then at the same time, Johnson County Community College, you all have lowered our mill levy at least 18% over that time. So the revenue that we're receiving each year or year over year is due to the changes or the increase in assessed valuation each year. And then that bottom graph, it looks a little small, is just showing our assessed valuation compared to, assessed valuation increase compared to the mill levy rate that was set.
Are letting me know that they can't hear you on the live stream, if you could.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Sorry.
Yep. Okay, is that better?
Oh, yeah, now we can hear you.
Perfect,
I mean, I could hear
sorry.
you before, but now I can really, really hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so page 19 here is showing JCCC's mill levy compared to the overall mill levy for Johnson County, as well as other taxing jurisdictions in Johnson County. JCCC's mill levy is usually 7 to 8% of the total overall mill levy. And then you can see below Olathe School District, City of Overland Park, a comparison of their mill levy rates. And then most importantly, we like to show the impact to an average homeowner, the average residents, based on the information that we receive from the county. The county provides the average appraised value every year. And so for fiscal year '26, let me get on the right page here. Sorry. So for fiscal year '26, average appraised value was increased by $27,000. That corresponds to an assessed valuation increase or assessed value increase of $3,100. And the impact to the homeowner would be $465 or an increase of $25 in taxes levied to them.
Any questions here? Okay, nope, maybe?
Just observations is, I like that you put all the other mill levies around us. I mean, we're in single digits, and it shows that we're really trying to be good stewards of the money that we receive. And just shocking that the average price of a house is $500,000.
Yes.
Real quick, based
Holt.
on your observation, Dawn, I do have a quick question. Like, is this comparison tell a certain story to you, or does it mean, when you put this out here, what am I supposed to take away from this?
Well, because the board is able to set the levy, in addition to the assessed valuation, it really is to illustrate, well, what's the impact of that mill levy? And if we were to increase it, for this slide here, if we were to increase it, that at the taxes on that average residential value is the impact that we're trying to display here.
So,
Residents think that way.
no, so I would say, trustee Holton, I would draw your attention to the second line that says total mill levy, sorry, the third line that says JCCC mill levy, and compare that we've gradually lowered the mill since 2016. And if you did the same thing with our partners, for example, the biggest comparison we usually get is the local school districts. So you could compare it to Olathe, Shawnee Mission, or Blue Valley, and they have steadily increased. They've gone back and forth, but basically when a homeowner gets their bill, and Rachel, correct me because I'll probably mess this up in some way, that we can capture as much of the assessed value as we'd like, but we have lowered how much we're capturing so that we're judicious about getting enough to be able to still cover our costs, keep our lights on, make sure we're providing with new enrollment and innovation, but not capturing the full extent that we could of the money that's available. So taxpayers often think that we are the ones setting the appraised value. We are not. The county does that part. And then we can capture a portion of it, which is the mill levy. That's what that does. Did I mess it up too much? Did I do a B plus on it? Okay. Does that make sense? Do you have any further questions on that? Really, at this point, I would say that did Trustee Cross has, okay, just a moment, Trustee Cross, and I'll let you speak, because I know you've got a lot more history here and can probably speak to it as well, but this is a very confusing thing for taxpayers. They don't understand how the mill works, how much we capture, and how we set the mill rate versus the tax bill that they get that says, their taxes have gone up $1,700 or whatever. And so asking as many questions as you need to be able to speak to constituents is really critical at this juncture. Trustee Cross, did you have any comments?
Yeah, I did. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think you explained it well. It is confusing in terms of how the mill works. And then, for almost 60 years, this board and our predecessors have set the mill rate with really, no controversy. So we have been judicious. We have been careful stewards. And I do want to ask if we do raise the mill, if we choose to raise the mill, say to replenish our reserves, frankly, because of the uncertain nature of certain things in the political landscape, what would happen? Would we have to reset and give new notice for the budget before us? Megan?
Yeah, so because this is our workshop, we still would have an opportunity to bring forth a different or an additional scenario if you'd like in May. We haven't filed our legal budget, right? So we still have time if you'd like to see additional scenarios.
Yeah, I'm contemplating it personally. I think Dr. Mixon knows that, and I appreciate the information.
Does that constitute your questions right now, Trustee Cross?
Yes, Madam Chair, that constitutes my questions right now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? The dais? Oh, yes, Dr. Mixon, you're allowed to ask
I know,
questions.
is that
Yes.
okay? I should look to, I don't look at, but the Kansas Board of Regents, is that the JCERT, that 1.5? Or that's just the Kansas Board of Regents does that?
No, I don't think it's JCERT. I think it is just for Kansas Board of Regents budget. Trustee Holton, I think also, just to piggyback, I think Trustee Smith-Everett did a great job of explaining that. I do think page 20 also shows the impact of that change in appraised value and the mill levy, where you see the annual change in appraised value, our mill levy, and then that impact on taxes levied.
I think the biggest thing that I just wanted to make sure of is like, everybody up here, other than Chad and I, have done this at least twice, and I just was curious if this story resonates with people when you talk to them. Like, do they look at us and compare us to the city of Overland Park? Do they compare us to Olathe USD or whatever else? Or do they say, you are Johnson County Community College, and I'm comparing you to Johnson County Community College, not to this stuff here?
Rattan?
I would answer that and say, I think that when people think taxes, they think the lump sum of it. And I often, especially when I'm running for office, try to point people to go to the website for the county, put in their address, and actually find this list itemized. And so even for me, it was eye-opening to see such a difference of a mill levy in the 20s, 50s, 60s, and we're in single digits ever since I've been here. But, so when you're talking to people, what I try to do is say, here's the website, plug in your own address, and you can get the itemized list of where your taxes are coming from, because taxes just this big blob, and people say taxes, 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 versus like, for what you're getting in this institution, and we're on the lower end of the 5 or 6 things that you're getting taxed for, go see for yourself.
And I
how it
like
impacts
what
you.
you're saying about what you're getting for this institution. That, to me, resonates very, very well, right? That's what, okay.
Okay, any other questions? Ready to proceed? Okay, please continue, thank you.
Okay, so page 21 here is just another representation of our property tax revenues compared to our mill levy. And then page 22, moving on to our tuition and fee revenue. So again, we are recommending that we budget a 4% increase in credit hour enrollment above fiscal year '26. And so we've presented or shown the budgeted credit hours for '26 here. All the rest of the years are showing the actual results. And we are intentionally budgeting the 4% to bring the number, the budgeted number, closer in line to our actual. You can see in 2025 there, we were at just under 305,000 credit hours. So we're trying to bring that budgeted number closer in line with actual. Then that bottom graph there is just showing the 5% change in enrollment for JCCC, comparing to public 2 years across the college, across the United States, excuse me. And then other public 2 years across Kansas, Missouri, and then KCK and MCC.
Again, this is the kind of information that we, as elected officials, need to use to tell the story, to Trustee Holton's point, of what other partners regionally and nationally have dealt with, and why we're a great value for our taxpayers and a great asset in our community. Please proceed.
I do have a question. Since we went down in credit hours in 2026,
So the number that
gives
we
us the
have,
confidence that we'll recover.
so the number that we have there for 2026 is just the budgeted credit hours, so not actual. So yes, there is a difference, and that's part of the reason why we wanted to budget the 4% for 27 to bring that closer in line.
This number will change by the end of the
Yes,
year.
it will change.
Negative 4.4, okay.
I believe as of right now, I mean, we're just under 306,000 credit hours, but again, we'll know more once.
The actual number is 306 instead of 291.
Well, actual, and this is me trying to track the year. As of right now, when I looked at it, we were just under 306,000. Okay, then page 23 here shows the distribution of credit hours for fiscal year '25 across residency. And then on the bottom graph there is showing the distribution of tuition and fee revenue across residencies. And Johnson County continues to be the largest proportion of our credit hours and our tuition and fee revenue. We're seeing a little bit of an increase with our metro rates and our, at 11% in the tuition and fee revenue. Page 24 is showing our tuition and fee rates per credit hour, the next few slides. So for Johnson County, it's showing the 10-year history. Tuition increased $1 between fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21, and then $3 fiscal year 23, $4 in fiscal year 25, and then again for fiscal year 27, there will be a $5 increase to Johnson County residents. And then you'll also notice the green bar is the fees, our required credit hour, our required fees per credit hour have been 16. The $2 increase to the student activity fee brings those to 18.
Megan, can you remind us what those fees cover, what they budget?
Yes. So the student activity fee supports the student activity fund, scholarships, travel, a portion of our athletics program. The debt reduction fee is to pay back revenue bonds that we have, our debt service. Parking and roads is for improvements to parking and roads on campus. And then the sustainability fee goes to the sustainability fund, and a portion of that also supports students through scholarships.
Do you have a fiscal year 2028 tuition projection in here?
Yes, in the very back of the
I'll
book.
wait for it. Yeah, I can wait for it.
Yes, in the very back of the book, there is a 5-year projection.
Okay, thank you.
Chair,
Yes, trustee Holden?
quick question on page 23, before we get too far away. Is this graph just a measurement, or are we purposeful in trying to goal what we expect here? Are we, you understand what I'm saying? Are we trying to say, do we try and say we want this percent from Johnson County, this percent from here, this percent from here? Do we market to these things to get credit hours that might be more money, or do we do that as an exercise in here? Or is this just like, whatever happens, you're just reporting back to us what happens?
So this is just a representation of what happened. I do know on the strategic enrollment plan, right, there are intentional efforts to increase enrollment. I cannot speak to whether or not there is a percentage or a goal across the residencies. And maybe Shelley could provide more information, but.
Do you want a
It would just.
spitball answer tonight, or do you?
No, I don't need that answer. I just didn't know if that's what we think when we're trying to get our dollar amount to be a certain amount from enrollment. Do we target areas because we know that credit hour might be more versus, do we try and play with these percentages is all I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
Do we try and, do we use our marketing
Do
dollars?
we want
to
more
go-
people from the metro rate because they're paying more, or are we
Right.
just reporting?
Right.
Right.
That's all I was wondering.
Gotcha.
I didn't know if it was part of the strategic plan.
I would say, I think that's what we're going to strategically be looking at that as we move forward. I do think you guys added the metro rate at a certain time, and there has been an increase because of that metro rates in there. And now we have to figure out, exactly how we want to manage that. Want to be careful, there's a lot of different forces pushing in a lot of different directions. If you work too hard in the metro area, you might get some people coming back saying, why are you spending so much time in the metro area? Because our focus is Johnson County. So, but we'll look at that and try to make good decisions on that. And I'm looking at Shelley, and she seemed to smile. So I think I'm okay.
You didn't mess it up too much, that's good,
Not too
that's
much,
good,
so I
that's
think
good.
we're in the ballpark here.
All right. Ms. Casey, please proceed.
So we looked at Johnson County history per credit hour on page 24. Then we have our other Kansas residents on page 25. We have our outer state or international on page 26. And then on this last page, we have our metro rate, and the metro rate began in fiscal year 17. Okay, we talked about required student fees. And in addition to required student fees, there are courses that have additional fees. These fees are set by Dr. Gurbachan Singh in the academic affairs area every year. There is no change from what was presented in the fiscal year 26 budget. One thing to note, it doesn't mean that these fees are charged every semester, but for students, when it is applicable within that year, these are some of the fees that could apply based on the semester. And then this page here on 30 is a tuition and fee analysis, really trying to illustrate that we are intentionally trying to maintain and stay or remain an affordable choice for students across the Kansas City area. So it's comparing 30 credit hours and the cost for that compared to KU or K-State or even Metropolitan Community College.
You know, I don't know if this is something any of our staff would know, but just how our international rate compares. I know we have a really great group of international students that we continually recruit and support, but I've noticed that their increase has gone up, you know, because proportionally they're already paying more. So when we do a percent increase, they seem to have the biggest amount increase, dollar amount increase. And I just didn't know if we know how other institutions' international rates compare to ours. Is that on one of these fancy pages we're gonna come to?
Yeah, so
Of course
on
it is.
page,
Because our staff is amazing.
the next page, on page 31, this is showing the cost per credit hour across the 19 community colleges. On page 31 is the in-district rate. And then page 32 is the non-resident rate.
Oh, well, look at that. It's almost like I was just preparing us to move to the next pages.
Okay, and then this is international.
I want to just pause on page 31 and 32 and let trustees take this in for just a minute, because this is another part of us telling our story, which is that we have historically been the lowest or one, you know, bottom third lowest community college tuition in the state of Kansas. And that looks like, is this ranked by, no,
it's
it's
just in
alphabetical.
alphabetical.
Okay, so
Coffeeville
it's
is
not,
105.
yeah.
Coffeeville is the closest.
So I do have another slide that shows for fiscal year '26 how we,
Of course you do. Of course you do. I look forward to that. I'm sure just right on the next page.
so page 34 here, and now this is as of fiscal year '26. All of the community colleges are in the same place, right? Recommending budgets to their boards at the same time. I know that a few of them are also considering tuition and fee increases. We just won't know the amounts and where we stack up, hopefully in May, but definitely by the time we do our legal budget adoption in September, we'll know.
It does seem like our international rate is on the higher end, though, in comparison to others. Any questions here? Okay.
And then on page 35, we are trying to illustrate how Kansas overall compares to the other states as it relates to the average published in-district tuition and fees. So Kansas continues to remain in the bottom 10. We were at 8 last year, and we continue to be 8 there as of fiscal year '26. Okay, and then page 36 here, the last page for our revenue, is our state funding or our operating grant. So that tiered and non-tiered grant that we receive from the state of Kansas. So this graph here just shows the distribution across the 19 community colleges as well as the technical colleges. So the funding formula is based on 3-year enrollment. We have seen increased enrollment over the past few fiscal years. And so we are also seeing here between fiscal year '25 and '26 an increase. And that is about 2.8% increase, if I look at my number here, between fiscal year '25 and '26. And then again for fiscal year '27, we're anticipating an increase there as well.
Any questions? Yeah.
Could you just at a quick high level, kind of go over again, tiered versus non-tiered?
So the non-tiered are your typical general classes that we receive a portion of funding, and it really is supposed to be a third, a third, a third. Part of that is coming from the community college, the state, and then your tiered courses are some of your higher level, if you will, classes, and those are reimbursed at a different rate. So there's a difference in the reimbursement rate between the two.
And tiered usually means our technical side, right? All the trades and so forth. Any other questions here? Okay, seeing none, please proceed.
And then the last pages that we'll go through in the budget workshop book are just to highlight the expenses. So we are budgeting expenses of $235 million. Salaries and benefits make up the largest percent. And then operating capital, we'll go into a little more detail of what makes up these items too in just a few seconds here. And then our annual debt service. On page 41 shows the history, just like we did for revenue, of our operating expenses, total expenses, salaries, benefits, debt service, for the past 10 years. What I'll note here in fiscal year 22 and 23, we did science labs renovations during that time, and so that is part of the increase that you see there in expenses.
Are these, sorry.
Good.
Are these proportions kind of consistent and normal with other like institutions?
That's a good question. I have not compared us to other institutions, but I can get that for you.
Not a critical thing right now, just kind of more curiosity than.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, in my experience, and Trustee Cross, chime in if you have more to add to this, but our biggest jumps are usually when we're doing capital projects, and you'll see that big increase there on expenditures because we generally pull from reserves or find another way to fund, and so we'll get a boost, and then we kind of go back to, you know, stair-stepping our expenses as we go. Right after COVID, obviously, we also had a large jump because costs of everything went up for everyone, and I know our regional partners were all really struggling at that period as well.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, capital expenses for 24, 25, and 26 were compared to other years relatively low, and then they're going to jump up again because of our
Right.
plan.
So I always think of it in terms of like my own budget in my home. We know we're gonna do a major renovation. We're gonna, you know, save our money for a couple years, and then it'll be a big expense one year that makes it look like, you know, but that's because we're really judicious about when and how we do our capital plans, right, strategically. Any other questions here? Yeah, Trustee Carroll?
So is that the same line of thinking for our operating as well? Because I see it 33 and 25, then 41, but then it goes back down to 35.
Walk me through where you are.
On the operating line, full year 25, it's at 33 million, and then it jumps to 41 million, but then it goes back down to 35 million.
So in fiscal year 26, we also did budget to kick off our facilities master plan, and so that is part of the increase in the operating that you see there, and also that slight increase in the capital. But that is the difference in the jump, and then costs for some things did increase as well, too.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Trustee Cross?
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of what you said when we have bigger capital allocations, but I will say, and as liaison right now to KCCC, we need to be critically and forever aware that really we live in an embarrassment of riches. So to have this money available or to go get a bond or whatever we need to finance what we need to do, we're in very good position. So to answer Trustee Mitchell's question, you know, are other schools in this situation, or is it proportional to what other schools do? Is that your question, Greg?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's super not compared to the other 18 schools. And that's just me trying to curry some favor and credibility with other stakeholders, I think, that listen to me and watch us in this meeting. And so it is to say we're blessed. With that said, in my observation, our professional staff has always worked to make sure everything's done properly. Does that make sense? Or in a strategic manner that we signed off on to do what we need to do for our students to get the facilities that we need in league and alliance with the business community, the local banks, along with working with the county who's so critical of setting the appraised value, but then also having the relationships with Topeka and even our congressional delegation. So I don't mean to hear myself talk. I'm just trying to lay out for some of the newer people, like, no, it's not in proportion to what other people do,
Right.
but we're in a unique situation and yet very professionally done.
I think, just to piggyback on what Trustee Cross just said, I think the tug and pull for us is always that where Johnson County goes, the state of Kansas goes. And because of that, we tend to and need to be leaders in some ways. And on the other side of that is we also have to be very careful because we are afforded the opportunity to do that because of our generous tax base, the support we receive, the high education level of the county. And so when we are laying out new capital programs, we want to make sure that we're balancing being conservative enough that we're not just, putting up new buildings every 2 years because it's fun and it's pretty and we can do it, but because we're meeting the needs of our community and our state. And while I agree with Trustee Cross that it is an abundance that we are very fortunate to have, I would say that we also have lots of regional partners who look to us, and if we're going to build a new health sciences program, then they are too. And that's going to be great for everyone in our community regionally. So it's kind of, it's one of these balancing acts that we, right here on this board, have to consider each time that we're doing really carefully. So anything else? Did you have a comment? Okay.
Real quick, so I would assume, thank you, I would assume that when we build things, we need to anticipate that all these things are going to go up. You're going to have more people, which have benefits, and you're going to have operating costs for that building. So just being aware that, don't be alarmed in 2028 when we see, once that building's built, well, I don't know when it's going to be built, but when that building's built, that those are going to be bigger.
Right. And we also, the single largest expense we have is our people, our amazing faculty. The salaries and benefits is the single largest cost that we have. So when we are building out a new program, a new building, we have to make sure that we can also sustainably support the staff that will have to come to teach those courses and programs and be able to do that in the long term. So. Mm-hmm. Right. All right. Anything else? Okay. Moving along.
Okay, so the last page that I will take us to, for Trustee Rattan, I'm sorry. So page 78 starts our projection model and additional analysis. So page 80 is where we are attempting to project whether it's a tuition increase or increased credit hour enrollment. But the thing to also remember, though, is that each year we bring forth the tuition and fee recommendation. And so we are not projecting out that in 2031, we're definitely going to have a tuition increase. We prefer to bring that to you all each year so that you all can make a decision. And it'll be informed by other things that we have happening in the budget or that we're aware of.
Any questions here?
So the number goes up for tuition for next year, you project that we're going to get about $640,000 more dollars through tuition?
Yes, and so my next slides here will go over this in a little more detail for 27. Okay. All right. righty. Okay, so first, just to recap, for property tax revenue, the additional information that we received from the county appraiser in March was around the taxable appraised value increase. And taxable appraised value was up 6.5% since November 2025. And we use this number to help inform how much we anticipate assessed valuation is going to increase for us, and then be able to make a recommendation for the mill levy for you all. So originally in December, we recommended using an increase of 5%, and we are still holding with that recommendation. An increase of 5% in assessed valuation with no change to the mill levy rate would generate $6.5 million in incremental revenue for fiscal year '27.
Yeah, trustee.
If this sits in the governor's top desk drawer for the next, I don't know how many, 5 more days or whatever, we're gonna have to reconvene to discuss
No.
our situation.
Not on this,
Not
no,
this.
because this is all our control.
Okay.
I mean, because you're talking about the,
Because the
assessed
5%, the
value
5% would be capped at 3, so that's my understanding anyway.
right.
I think that if you can kind of explain the process that we talked about this a little bit today, like how, the process to go through depending on what happens with that, so, go ahead.
I had planned to share it towards the end. I'll go ahead and share it now. So the bill that is currently in play, that, we're waiting to hear how it impacts us, would be effective immediately, and it would limit property tax revenue increases. So it would limit us to our prior year revenue adjusted for inflation, and they're using Midwest CPI as that calculation. So when I looked last, it was 2.8%. So it's 2.8% or 3%. If a taxing jurisdiction wanted to levy more, so a higher increase, then they are then subject to a protest petition, which is new, or would be new in the revenue neutral rate process. And so 10% of voters in the last Secretary of State election would be the marker for a successful petition. And the notices that go out to taxpayers when a taxing jurisdiction wants to exceed revenue neutral rate will now be modified to show what revenue did you receive in the prior year, what revenue are you trying to levy this year in the coming year, and then there'll be a place on that notice for taxpayers to sign and protest against that increase. And again, this is only for the jurisdictions who are attempting to levy more taxes than what would be allowed in the bill, or the 2.8 or the 3%. If the protest was successful, I think the county election office would be required to figure out whether or not they received enough petitions to meet based on who voted in that election. Then we would not be able to take that additional revenue, and we would be subject to the limit that is allowed in the bill, so that 2.8% or 3%, whichever is less.
For explaining that, that's extremely helpful. But I'm just saying, the worst-case scenario is that we're limited to 2.8 or 3%, and we have to increase it a little bit above that. And then there's a petition. What's the timing on this could be a challenge, because by the time that's all sorted out, we could be into fiscal year '27, well into fiscal year '27 by then, so.
Yeah, but, I mean,
Right, so it would impact September and our legal budget that we would file. We would find out, we have to file our legal budget by October 1st, so they would have a very tight time frame. I mean, we would know, to your point, yes, we are already into fiscal year '27. But I think the decision would then be yours, right, to decide if we want to go ahead and prepare a budget that is within line if this is successful, or if you wanted to levy more.
that decision doesn't have to happen now,
Right.
because we got that timeframe.
And I think we should think that potentially our whole budget workshopping process going forward and the calendar that we have associated with that might be impacted by this. If she doesn't.
If
She can either sign it, she can veto it, or she could just basically let it go in her desk drawer and it would become law. So, okay, thank you, that's very helpful.
Okay. So the next few slides here, and I won't spend too much time, I think we're getting close to time here, is just representing our reappraisal and the valuation history for Johnson County. And historically, the change or the percentage of reappraisals in our overall change in assessed valuation is about 6%. That is the bulk of the increase or the change. And then new construction usually represents like around 1%. There was a decrease in new construction though in '26 in Johnson County. So a 1% change in assessed valuation is equal to $1.2 million. So if assessed valuation was to increase 6%, right, that would be an additional 1.2 million in revenue. Or likewise, if it was a decrease, right, that is the impact that we would see. 1 mil is equal to 17, just under 18 million, and then half a mil is equal to just under $9 million. And then again, this was in the budget workshop book. It's just showing 10 years of our mill levy history and assessed valuation. And the point here is that the cumulative decrease in the mill levy was 18% over this time period. So our property tax revenue as it stands today, right, assuming that we would be able to take all the assessed valuation increase that we're budgeting for, which is 5%. The total overall revenue would be 147 million, with 138 million of that going directly to the general fund, and then 9.3 of that going to our capital outlay fund. And then at the
What
bottom
page is
there,
that on?
Yeah, isn't this one on a page in our book?
is this on a page in the
Yeah.
book? Yes. So it is on page 45, no, I'm sorry, 46.
And we're really testing you on everything
middle.
tonight. Thank you, yes.
So page 46 is going to show just the general fund information. And then page 47 will show the capital outlay fund and the associated property tax revenue.
Any questions here?
So what I'll note at the very bottom of the slide is we have estimated what we anticipate the revenue neutral rate to be. So it's 7.5 mils. So the current revenue neutral rate process is reporting your mill rate. And in order for us to levy a mill rate, that exceeds that, we have to have a hearing, hold a hearing. We have to notify the county that we intend to levy a rate above revenue neutral, and then we have to allow taxpayers are able to come to that hearing and share concerns, and then the board would vote at that hearing whether or not they would want to continue to exceed revenue neutral. So that's the current process. We would hold that hearing between August 20th and September 20th, and then we generally hold that hearing first and then our budget hearing right after that.
Megan, on 46, if we weren't doing the capital work, our budget for 27 would be pretty much the same as the budget for 26.
Right.
So, I mean, kudos to the departments who have maintained and controlled expenditures and expenses.
Okay, so this slide here quickly just recaps our revenue, the revenue that we're expecting. So administration is recommending that we hold our mill levy flat, and that if we're allowed, right, to assume all of the assessed valuation increase that we're budgeting, we would expect to receive the 6.5 million in incremental revenue. Tuition and fee revenue total would be 2.8 million in incremental revenue. And then our state aid, that anticipated increase based on the funding formula would be 1.7 million in incremental revenue. And then for investments, we are not anticipating an increase, we're anticipating a decrease because of lowering interest rates and then because of our planned spending from reserves to support the facilities master plan. So this slide here just goes into a little more detail of our state funding. I think I mentioned that our budget number for state includes for state aid includes our operating grant, that tiered and non-tiered funding. But in addition, it's not in the general fund, but in other funds at the college, we also receive the capital outlay for career and technical education, and then business and industry grant, the college student investment grant, which used to be called Student Success Initiatives, and then the Campus Restoration Act funding, which was new in fiscal year 26, is continuing again in fiscal year 27. So in all, across funds at the college, we're anticipating an additional $5 million in state aid. The one thing I will note on this slide for the capital outlay funding and the business and industry funding, a proviso is attached to that funding this year that you will not receive that funding if you adopt or if you increase your mill levy for 27. So just one thing to note. Now, on to our expenses. We've talked about the salary increase. That will cost approximately $5 million. We anticipate benefit costs to increase, estimated at $828,000. And then on the operating side, this is our final year of active learning classroom construction. That will cost $1 million. From here on out, we'll be moving to sustaining those classrooms, and if it's technology replacements, but no new construction of active learning classrooms. Then we have remodeling requests, which we usually have every year, and then support for our strategic bridge plan. And then what is contributing to the deficit budget, that we're recommending is the support for our facilities master plan. So $25 million that we're budgeting for phase 1. And I want to remind you all that each project will be brought to you all for approval before it begins. And so even though we're budgeting $25 million, you all will still have the ability to review and approve. And the reason we are including this in fiscal year 27 is, again, it connects to our mission. And it connects to the strategic plans that we have across the college. So a new healthcare building to support establishing a center of excellence for science and healthcare, continuing to support active learning, but outside, strengthening wayfinding across the campus, improving our athletic spaces, and then addressing aging infrastructure, which is a high priority. And then here's the summary together of our expected revenue. $10 million incremental revenue for fiscal year 27, and then on the expense side, $32 million in incremental expenses, with the bulk of that being the support for our facilities master plan. Okay, and the reason for, or the rationale behind recommending, that we use reserves and adopt a deficit budget to the tune that we are, is because we have we're well-resourced. We've also managed the resources that we've received. And this really is just to illustrate that we're strong financially. We're able to withstand changing economic conditions. And then, of course, our reserve levels are really contributing to this high score. We're projecting where the CFR ratio will end at the end of the fiscal year for 26 and 27, and that really is to illustrate our intentional use of reserves, and so that will decrease with that use. And then board policy is that we maintain a certain level of reserves as 25%, and this slide here is just illustrating how our reserve levels look as of July 1, the beginning of the fiscal year, and then as of December 31st. December 31st is generally always our lowest point for the year, and we usually rebound pretty quickly in January when we receive property tax revenue. Okay, and then the last slide is next steps. So May 6th at the Management and Finance Committee, we'll bring a recommendation to adopt the fiscal year 27 budget. Then at the May board meeting is where you all will vote on that. And then August and September is where we will adopt our legal budget.
Trustee Rattan?
Just want to go back to the tuition projection. Is that going up because of we're projecting another increase in tuition or an increase in credit hours?
So in the projection model, every other year we are showing a tuition and fee increase.
That was page 40. No, that was page 80.
Testing this poor woman out on all her page numbers tonight.
So from 27 to 28, and I don't know what the 8%, 2%, 4% underneath there is.
Right, so that is us anticipating what the increase in the overall tuition revenue would be. So sometimes that is an increase in credit hour enrollment, and other times we are showing that 4% that you would see every other year is a tuition and fee increase. But again, this is just us projecting, and not necessarily what will happen in those years.
28, 29, we think that we'll do a tuition increase. So what accounts for the increase in 27, 28?
So 27, we're budgeting a 4% increase in credit hours, and then we also have the tuition and fee increase, so that is the 8%. And then in 28, we were just budgeting for holding tuition rates flat and seeing an increase in credit hour enrollment.
So that's credit hour for 27-28? That's
Yes.
credit hour, okay.
Now, when,
Those are just models. That's, you know,
Yeah,
right. this
even
is
just
the
a
thing.
model, I just want to make sure we're not planning to increase tuition again next year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to
I would
take
not like
we'll have
to.
to take a look
Yeah.
at it, just like all the other inputs
course.
into the budget. I mean, some of it is going to be what happens with this property tax bill potentially
Of
as
course,
well
yeah.
too, right, as far as sources of revenue. So I wouldn't put too much stock in what this says at this moment. It's really just for modeling purposes.
other consideration for us is that when we open the new health sciences building, that would impact our enrollment.
Yeah, we're expecting
Possibly.
additional enrollment in those programs for sure. That'll impact and change the numbers too.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, trustee Carroll?
Can I ask why we're wanting to keep the ad valorem rate flat versus reducing? Because obviously assessed values are going up, and that's more of the conversation that I have a lot in the community.
So we reduced the mill levy last year. I think we did it by 1/4 of a mil last year. Reducing it further, right, would be less revenue that we would receive. We would also be in more of a deficit budget. And so I think to balance making sure that we are spending from reserves, not letting those get like built up too much, right, that we're moving forward with strategic initiatives, it really is just a balance. But ultimately, the decision is yours. And I can certainly provide an additional model if you'd like to see.
Trustee Carroll, were you asking why we weren't increasing or decreasing?
Decreasing.
Why we weren't decreasing?
Why we weren't decreasing since assessed values are going up. I'm just thinking about in terms of community perception, right? We're increasing our tuition and we're keeping, the mill levy flat, but then obviously we're pulling money from reserves to build this glorious building, but it's in community perception, right? And so I don't want it to become a thing where if in 2 years we have to increase the tuition again, it's like, well, what's going on, right? And so that's my way of thinking and why I'm asking.
So I will tell you something that trustee Musil echoed a lot on this board in my time, which was when the college was built 52 years ago, it was built with a three-legged stool funding model. And the three-legged stools are the county tax base, the state, and the tuition and fees. And so you have to have, there's two of those we control. The one we don't control has become shorter and shorter and shorter and has caused us to teeter. And so what we have to do is balance the two that we do have control over to make sure that we can still be innovative, still be providing to our community. In my time on the board, I think we've done a really good, very careful job of not taking more than we need, but also particularly like after 2019, this was also a big issue with the mill levy because expenses went up tremendously. And so everything cost more, and yet we knew that our tax base was also burdened more. And we have to be really careful about that. So in my opinion, on this budget cycle, I think we're being incredibly conservative and careful. And I don't think we want to set ourselves up to take less in the next 2 to 3 years when we've got a big capital project, because construction costs and the costs incurred that we may not foresee with opening a new program, hiring new staff, and being able to offer more to our community. But I also, am happy to have a discussion, a robust discussion on this board about that. So that's just my opinion as a chair. I do want to let us, just as a time check, it is 5:02. I don't want to discourage any more conversation or debate, but we will pass, if everybody's in line with this is what we will bring up in May and pass. And if you feel strongly one way or another, feel free to speak up now that you're going to offer something different than what you were presented tonight. That lets other board members kind of chew and mull on it before we vote for it in May. Or if you have real concerns that you want to bring up now, please do, and staff can work to address them in the next month.
I do have one more question, Madam
Madam
Chair. I was just
Chair.
going to ask,
In just a moment, Trustee Cross, and I'll call on you next. Thank
I was
you.
going to ask, once we move the funds for the capital projects out of the reserves, do we know what percent level we will be at?
I don't have
Percent
that
of
on.
reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Down in the,
I can get that number to you. I don't want to.
and is that self-induced, that the recommended reserves level? I was on this board when that was a very contentious issue, but I can't remember if that's a state.
It's a college policy.
Okay, it's a college policy that we have so much in reserves. Okay, thank you.
That was the only question I had.
that- okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Trustee Cross?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. To Trustee Carroll's question, I mean, I think we have whittled down the mill over the last 10 or 12 years when possible, as property values have increased. Why aren't we doing it now? In my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, or why haven't we done it more, it's just lack of trust. I mean, as you stated, in the traditional model that communities, particularly the 19 service areas for the community colleges 50, 60 years ago, we were promised that the state would be putting in a third of this budget, and they're not. And so, candidly, I think we should mark the time at which the state of Kansas is now essentially taking over the community college system. And if they're going to be holding money over our head and you can't raise the mill levy, I don't know who passed that, but I'm going to find out and make sure the world knows coming into a gubernatorial year. But, I think we should seriously look at raising the mill a certain amount to replenish the reserves that we've got, and then protecting us against any of the tomfoolery of the people with solutions in search of a problem known as a tax cut. So if the legislature wants to start issuing tax cuts and coming in and controlling the amount that we can raise the mill for the best interest of our college, I think we need to set ourselves up so that our administration is prepared to deal with the inflation that's not going down. I mean, the United States presidential administration has 2 members of the Board of Governors for the Federal Reserve under investigation because he's mad that they won't cut the interest rates. What does that mean? They won't cut because inflation is a problem. So just seeing the whole board here, I'd like to keep our options open. And yeah, I do plan to offer a different proposal that I'm happy to talk to staff about. And frankly, I need their guidance in terms of what could work or not work. And maybe they'll just shut me down. They won't shut me down, but maybe they'll talk me out of it. I'm just saying I plan to offer something different. I don't imagine it would be a full mill, but if we're taking $25 million out for capital projects and we have a facilities master plan, and then, we have foolish politicians attempting to curry favor with a felony president, I've got to protect this college. We have to protect this college, and I'll be quiet now. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Cross. Trustee Rattan?
Can you repeat again what the revenue neutral rate was? Because we're just barely above it, right?
Right. It was, sorry. And this is estimated. We estimated it at 7.5, 7.49. We'll receive the actual rate in June from the county.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions? Ms. Casey, thank you so much.
Yes, thank
We really
you.
Thank you
tested
so
you on
much.
your question, on your page numbers and all your reference points, and you had it. There was nothing that stumped you. Appreciate your time and thoughtfulness. All right, with that, we're gonna roll into our regularly scheduled board meeting and let our new guests come in, get seated, get comfortable. Let guests who are just wanting to hear about all the numbers and money, they can find their way out, but you're welcome to stay. We always have a riveting meeting here for everyone to stay tuned to. We're going to begin this evening with our student spotlight. I understand we have Privilege here this evening, and Trustee Mixa, tell us about them.
Trustee Mixa?
Mixa.
You got me really nervous. That's an elected job. That's harder than being a
That's right.
president. So,
That's right.
all right, we have a wonderful student that's going to come up and speak. She is all over the campus doing amazing work. So I will welcome Privilege Madzumwami. Come to the board, and you can correct me on your last name if I said it wrong.
Thank you.
Evening. Tell us a little
Good
bit.
evening. Oh my God. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Privilege Mudzembwe. I am an international student all the way from Zimbabwe, a first-generation student, and a student that carries a deep sense of responsibility, resilience, as I am the first and only daughter in my family, the first and only niece from my mom's side, and the first granddaughter. I am the student here studying general science in a pre-med path. Now I'm going to share my story. Okay, when I arrived here at Johnson County Community College, I wasn't sure if I was going to fit in it because everything was completely new, the environment, the education system, and the culture. But when I came here, I knew I wasn't going to be alone. The international office, they welcomed me. They were my first anchor. But the reason why I chose Johnson County Community College is because of its diversity and strong resources. I knew if I come here, I was going to grow, learn, and be supported in this small environment. As I mentioned, the international office was my first anchor. They didn't just guide me, they supported me, they encouraged me, and they made me feel seen here at Johnson County Community College. And I'm truly grateful for them. I am also grateful for my student life managers, my club advisors, my professors, and my honors program advisors for believing in me, even though, like before, I didn't even believe in myself. When I first came to Johnson County Community College, I decided to get involved, even though I was quiet and more reserved. So I joined the International Club and the ACSA, which is the African Club. I knew if I joined these clubs, I was going to be surrounded with people with the same experiences as I, and also I was going to feel at home, and they made it possible. They welcomed me, they encouraged me, they motivated me, and I gained the courage to move forward. Currently, I am a student life ambassador at the engagement desk, where I chair the office culture team. I am also the treasurer of the Student Senate, where I also chair the budget committee, the service and fundraising committee as well. I am the vice president of Phi Theta Kappa. I am the secretary of the African Club, and I am also involved in International Club and SSC. Previously, I was the treasurer of the HSA. These experiences, they built me. They made me become more confident. They improved my communication skills and my team working skills, and I'm truly grateful for that. Last year, I was selected as an outstanding student, and it made me feel seen. It made me feel like recognized because I didn't know if I was, I didn't even know if I fit in this campus or college. And then recently, I was selected as an All-USA Academic Team Scholar, an All-Kansas Academic Scholar, a Heist Transfer Scholar, and a New Century Scholar. And I was recognized in both Baltimore and Seattle. Last March, I traveled all the way to Georgia to present my research project at the American Chemical Society, which is a big conference for all the science students where they all come and present their projects. So I went there and presented for my project, which was for antimicrobial compounds which are found in soil. I really loved that experience, being surrounded by all the smart people, all the chemistry people, and everyone with the same goal as I had. So I think I forgot to mention that I'm majoring in general science here at Johnson County Community College, and I plan on transferring to a four-year college to study biochemistry as my pre-med program, and then apply to medical school, and hopefully I get in with the goal of becoming a doctor. After I become a doctor, I want to serve both my community here and my community back home in Zimbabwe because they made me who I am right now. So I am planning on working with the Ministry of Health and Child Care to strengthen our healthcare system back in Zimbabwe and also help our underserved communities. Thank you for inviting me here. I never imagined that I'll be in a space with the most respectable people, and I and I really feel grateful for that because JCCC made who I am right now. It gave me a strength, and when I live here, I don't just live here with a degree. I live here knowing more about myself because I found my voice. I found my voice, and I'm just getting started. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you very much. All right, trustees, do we have questions for this incredible young lady? Trustee Rattan.
So how many hours a night do you sleep? Yeah, and actually, seriously, what have you done outside of school that you enjoy in Kansas?
What I've done outside of school, like in Kansas, or like
Outside of school in general?
Okay, so I'm an aspiring model. I like modeling, and that is my dream as well. And during my free time, I am a makeup artist. I try to do makeup, and I also love traveling and just walking around. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for your leadership and your poise, and I'm very appreciative that you have a goal in mind as a doctor to help infants and moms. I really appreciate that. It's something that is needed.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Mitchell.
So I'm assuming this is your second year here, correct?
Yes.
You've accomplished a lot in a short period of time. And what kind of support system besides the college community have you had here to kind of help you and guide you a little bit?
My family back home in Zimbabwe, they support me all the way. I call them all the time. They're always there for me. They advise me. And also I've made friends here on campus. They are there for me. They encourage me. They support me. They strengthen me as well. Thank you.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you joined Phi Beta Kappa. I was offered to join at one point in my academic career, and I declined, and it's a regret that I have. So go for it.
Thank
When opportunities arise, go for it.
Yeah, very good.
you.
Trustee Carroll, do I see your hand?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Privilege, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Can you let us know why you chose JCCC in Kansas?
I chose JCCC in Kansas because my cousin came here. She was here, and also she told me to look into JCCC when I was back in Zimbabwe. And I looked at it. I saw different clubs. I saw diversity, and I saw that there were like small classes. Like I didn't want to come here and get exposed to like big things. I wanted to grow first and then go into the real world. Yeah.
Thank you to your cousin.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Thank you.
Pay a recruiting fee. Trustee Carroll, I think you and I will compete for the same question on this board in our tenure together, because I had the exact same question. So, first of all, you're an incredible storyteller, and as someone who's given many speeches myself, I have to look down at my notes to remember all the things, and you touched on absolutely every point, how you got here, why you're here, what you're doing, and then all of your incredible accomplishments. So, weave storytelling into your next career too, because you definitely have a gift for it. I wanted to know how your family feels about you being this far away. I can imagine that is a blessing and a curse to be this far from a family that is so supportive, but I'm sure they're excited for you as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. And also, like, my family, I know, like, it's a blessing for them also that I'm here. And also, like, part of them, they miss me because I'm the only girl. Like, I have all the responsibilities. When I was there, I took care of everything. And now there's no one there. It's just boys, boys.
Oh, as a mother of two boys, that's says a
So
lot.
it's really hard for them, but they're always happy for me and proud of me. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We are certainly lucky to have you here at JCCC. It is very evident that you do so much to bring wonderful color and involvement and life to this community and put yourself in so many different categories and clubs, and it's wonderful. So I'm sure we're going to reap the benefits of your time here and also wish you luck in your next adventure to be a doctor and a model. I mean, that's some ambitious stuff. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Trustee Dr. President Mixa, we're going to move to the campus spotlight.
Right. Well, first off, Privilege is an amazing student. So glad you shared your story with us. And the richness that you bring to campus and the international students bring to campus is just so wonderful. So let's give her one more big round of applause. All right. Well, tonight is a great night of celebration. We're going to hear from Britton and his team of students here, and you're going to hear another amazing story and some amazing work that these students are doing in our automotive program.
Thank you, and good evening, members of the board. I'm Britton Hill. I'm assistant professor in the automotive technology department, and I was seeing our mission stated up there, but as you're well know, right, we're here to inspire learning, transform lives, and strengthen communities. So I'm honored tonight to introduce two students who perfectly embody that mission through our work on our ambitious project, the Type 65 project car build. So our automotive technology program has always been more about just turning wrenches. It's been about problem solving, teamwork, professionalism, stewardship, all the essential skills that we want our students to have, and that really align with our learning outcomes and values here at JCCC. So the Type 65 project car build is really where these high-level academic concepts kind of meet the pavement. And so it's a living laboratory for us to not just learn these skills, but to actually practice them. The Type 65 project is a multidisciplinary project. It's a multi-year initiative. We're building a replica car of a 1965 Shelby Daytona Coupe, a history storied car. While the physical goal is obviously to build this awesome car, our educational goals are much, much broader. We've intentionally structured this project to be a high-impact practices project. It's a transformative learning model designed to increase the student persistence, confidence, and sense of belonging. The project operates as an artisan collective, so moving beyond the automotive shop, we've actually created 10 teams of sub-student teams ranging from marketing and logistics to project management to really try to involve as many students as possible in the project. So this structure allows students from across campus backgrounds to collaborate in this kind of high-stakes, real-world innovation lab. So by integrating consistent reflection, peer-to-peer feedback, and public demonstrations of competence, such as our recent showcase at the World of Wheels, we're ensuring that the Type 65 project isn't just building a car It's building the durable professional skills that our students need to thrive in this global society. To show you exactly what this transformation looks like in practice, I've invited two of our students here. They represent a high level of technical ability and professional integrity, and we strive for in every graduate. So joining me tonight is Emily Kozlowski. Always mess that one up, sorry. Emily has really become the cornerstone of this project, demonstrating the exact kind of leadership and initiative we hope to foster in our students. She's a key member of our project management and community engagement team. Emily hasn't just participated, she's driven really many of the initiatives that we've have in our project. Just amazing. What's really inspiring to me, however, is just her level of commitment. Whether she's leading a major task or just showing up for like the last 30 minutes of a build team meeting because of her busy schedule, she comes just to help clean up. I mean, just amazing. So Emily is always here. Her dedication is a testament to her character. And I have no doubt she will be a force in the aviation industry, not automotive, but aviation, as she moves forward in her career. It's also my pleasure to introduce to you guys Isaac Boucher. My professional relationship with Isaac is that right? Did I say that right?
Yeah, you said it.
Okay.
I was just excited you got it right.
So, Isaac and I just met really this semester as both a member of our Project CAR team and a student in my Electrical 2 course. But in that short time, Isaac has made really a very significant impact. He possesses a natural technical aptitude and an incredible attention to detail that really we don't see very often in our students. So the fact that he has this so early in his career is pretty amazing. He's someone who takes his education and the craft of automotive technology seriously, consistently demonstrating that he has exactly what it takes to thrive in this industry. And beyond his skills, Isaac has just proven to be a trustworthy and genuine joy, like just fun guy to be around, always smiling, to have in the class and in the shop. So his presence within the team has really been awesome. So I'm proud to have him representing the program tonight, and please welcome Emily and Isaac.
Now, I don't think, we did renovate this room a couple years ago, and I'm sorry that we didn't install a garage door so you guys could roll the Shelby Coupe in, but you'll have to tell us about it, Emily.
Absolutely. Well, gosh, no pressure. Thank you so much, Mr. Hill. It's such an honor to be presenting for you all tonight on this incredible project. A few of you have heard my story before, so no spoilers. But as Mr. Hill said, my name is Emily Kozlowski, and I am a 16-year-old automotive technology student here on campus. I'm triple enrolled in automotive tech for my AAS, my liberal arts AA, as well as flight school and online high school. So yeah, a pretty busy schedule. When I walked into Intro to Automotive with Mr. Stowe, my brother convinced me to take classes here. He is an alumnus. And I really at that point was interested in anthropology. I didn't think I had what it took to cut it in the technology world. But professors like Mr. Stowe and Mr. Hill inspired me to put myself out there and try my hand at wrenching and the technical knowledge base that I now have. So it is my pleasure to say that I am now pursuing my private pilot's license in the hopes of becoming a helicopter medevac pilot as well as an aviation advocate and manager. So the Type 65 kit car team is absolutely incredible, and my leadership skills have been grown exponentially through opportunities like partnerships with the Mid-America Cobra Club, particularly Jim Dean, who is a former engineering project manager and has taught us a lot on our student-led team. Within the automotive technology department itself, I've developed skills of grit, like getting a crankshaft to top dead center after the 26th try for the right test, or my study skills, just in general, communication, leadership, the list goes on. This project inspires students through events such as Remake Learning Days, where we'll be helping younger kids get into transportation technology. It transforms students like myself and Isaac to truly empower us to pursue these sorts of technical skills. And it strengthens our JCCC community through events like our kickoff, where we invited the Mid-America Cobra Club as well as students and faculty from across the campus to enjoy and celebrate with us. JCCC has allowed me to do so much. And I am absolutely honored to be able to say that I met a helicopter medevac pilot here on campus who is now my dear friend and mentor. So you truly never know what's possible, and JCCC has made me the person and the professional that I will continue to be in my career. So I can't say thank you enough. I have a passion for keeping people connected, if it wasn't obvious already, and I have a lifelong love of learning. I can't wait to give back after you all have given me so much in this program. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Isaac Boucher. I'm a student here in the Automotive Technology program, and I'm also finishing up my high school here. I'm 18 years old. And I actually, because of the program here, I got a job at J. Wolf Acura, so it is really cool. I've made connections to different people. Tom McKay was one of them at J. Wolf Acura, and other people with our career fair, and I made other connections here as well. Doing this build project is amazing. I've learned different leadership skills, and communication skills, especially whenever we're communicating in the group chat to say, hey, this is the day we can have the meeting, this is the day we can't. It's been really good to learn a lot of that. I've also learned inventory skills with Mr. Hill. We went and took pictures of all the suspension parts, and that was a lot of fun. We had a little piece of the like fabric cutter boards. We had one of those, and we just put the parts on there. We took pictures of them all, so that way we could, whenever we were going through the digital inventory, we could see what the part looked like, not just what the part described is. It's like a 3/8 by whatever screw. It's you get a picture of it, so you can kind of compare it. Did that. We got, with the World of Wheels outreach with the build project, I got to talk to a lot of different people about the program. Here for the automotive department, I've talked to them was able to communicate with them about the project and help encourage other students to talk to more people and get out of their comfort zone a little bit. And I've done that. Oh, what else have I done? What else have I done here? A lot, yeah, we've done a lot. I've enjoyed all of the teachers here, and they've been all amazing. And I've learned a lot through them. And if it wasn't for the teachers here, I don't think I'd be able to get my job at J. Wolf.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Trustees, do we have any questions for these incredible individuals this evening? Yes, Trustee Carroll.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of questions. So one, kudos to Emily and Isaac. I can do very basic things on cars, very, very basic. So thank you so much for continuing on helping people like me with their cars. So it's a 1965 Shelby Coupe, but it's a kit car. Can you explain what that means, please?
Okay. So, yeah. So a kit car basically shows up as a bunch of parts and boxes, and so it's a engineered kit. So the body will look very similar. And maybe a better term would be a tribute to that car, right? Because we're several decades away from the 60s, the technology and so things like safety and engineering. So it's really kind of a modern car underneath a classic body. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is it completed? If not, when will it be completed?
It is not completed right now. Right now, it is a rolling chassis, so that means we have the suspension and wheels on it. There is no engine, no drivetrain, except for the rear differential, and that should be completed next year or the year after that.
Then where will it go once it's completed? Right.
So, yeah, this is the question. So the original intention was it would serve as a showpiece for the program. It's a great recruiting tool for us. It is an exciting car. It's going to fire students up and get them excited about the program. But it has been suggested by some that maybe we keep it around for a bit and then auction it at some point, if that's possible, and turn around and maybe do another project. So.
Those are all the questions I had. Thank you.
Okay, well, half of them were mine, but that's fine. All right, Trustee Holden or Mitchell, anybody else have any questions? Trustee Rattan?
I want to say that in addition to all the life skills of project management, public speaking, technical skills, and leadership, this just looks plain fun. So it sounds like you guys are having a lot of fun while learning, and I think that's the best way to learn, while you're having fun. And then I want to say to Mr. Hill, thank you for what you're doing and how you're impacting these students' lives. I can tell between all three of you, you're liking you're loving what you're doing, and they're getting a lot out of it. So would you give us a 30, 45 second on your bio, how long you've been here, how you got to JCCC?
Sure. So this is, I'll be completing my 5th year full-time here. I did serve as an adjunct for several years before that. I came straight out of industry, so I was a technician up at Barron BMW for 15 years. And it's funny, I started off my college career thinking I would be a teacher. Marriage and kids and other jobs kind of derailed that a little bit. But I've always had a passion for sharing what I know and my knowledge. And so now I get this, just incredible opportunity to do that in a really fun way. So, yeah.
Thank you. And what's your favorite kind of car?
Oh, geez.
You're looking for recommendations.
I started something.
That's a really hard one. But if I could buy, if I had money to go buy a car, I'd probably get a Porsche. I'm a Porsche guy by heart. Sorry.
What about Emily and Isaac? Sounds like Isaac said Porsche.
This is a very loaded question. We've debated this for so long. My personal favorite car is either a 993 911 GT3 RS or
Just a what?
Porsche.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what that is.
Or?
A Porsche from the 90s or a Porsche from the newest generation, so another 911. And she's...
Sounds like this is a conversation.
Oh, man. Well, I love these two, but we are building a Shelby Cobra. I just want to remind you of that. No, I'm a big fan of American muscle cars. Kind of a segue for me into the automotive industry was that all of my siblings have some sort of mechanical background, but I'm very proud to say I am the only sibling who has taken the initiative to learn how to drive a manual, and that is that is a 2008 manual Ford Mustang. So if I had a dream car, it would be the Eleanor Mustang from Gone in 60 Seconds. Die hard Ford girl, but y'all.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, there is so much to unpack here. I'm going to try to make it brief. As someone who has accidentally watched more episodes of Top Gear and YouTube deconstruction, reconstruction of all the brands you've mentioned, I just want to say I stand in awe of what you're doing. I really want to know the history of where this project came about. We don't have time for that tonight, but at another time I'd love to. I have 2 boys and a car-loving husband who live and breathe car shows and car YouTube stuff that I just have to be part of because I'm in the house. But it is such a world of technical and skill and maneuvering and creativity, and it's often overlooked as just, only when your car breaks down. But there's so much that goes into that industry and is really blooming on the social media side, which I did not know. I really wanted to know, so, when this is done, when this project is done, these two will be of the ripe age of maybe 20. And I want to know if you intend to do something like this again after this one is wrapped up, if the department is talking about it. And if you all can engineer a way for it to, blow out of its exhaust, like come to JCCC, or, paint it on the side, we built this at JCCC, just, some ideas. I'm going to help you workshop there.
Yeah, and so one of the ideas, again, to try to involve as many people in the projects as possible, what I'd like to do is reach out to the art department and have them maybe do like a livery contest, right? But we want it to be not just for the automotive program, but really to showcase JCCC and what it does. So yeah, definitely, like, that was one of the original ideas, was that this would be a showpiece or a showcase piece for the department and for the college.
Well, and I don't want to speak for your time. You certainly are investing a lot of your time already with our amazing students, but plugging into the car community in Kansas City, using it as recruiting and advertising, because there is a huge community. And people don't know that we offer automotive technician programs, and so I'd really love to be able to utilize that to do that. So please include me on communications, and if I could bring a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, I might get Mother of the Year from them, so I'd love to bring them by sometime, and they'll have the discussion on Porsche and American made and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you all for stopping by and for telling us about what you're doing. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening. All right, we are, Dr. Mick said we have one more spotlight because we cannot spotlight enough here this evening. And I just love to say, I love what a full room we have.
Right.
It's like when all the family comes home for the holidays and the house is full. That's the love I'm feeling this evening. So take us to our athletic spotlight, please.
Sure. Well, I hope you just get the theme of excellence tonight that
Yes.
you've seen all the way through. So we'll bring up 3 people to the podium here. We'll start with Tony Tompkins, the NACDA Athletic Director of the Year, and our athletic director here at our campus. We had Tony. And then our 2 basketball coaches, which I'm sure Tony will talk a little bit about, and they'll say a few words about the excellent season that they had, Ben Conrad and Rand Chappell. Come on up and go ahead, and you can start, Tony.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. It's just been an honor to be an athletic director here and being recognized for the AD of the Year for NACDA. It's just been a pleasure working here for the last 4 years. And when you get an award like this, it has nothing really, to me, it's not about me. It's with the coaches I work with, the staff that I work with, and just the support that they give for our student athletes and keeping them first, and just raising our standards and keeping those standards high. So just, that's basically about it. So I just thank you for having me and for recognizing it. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us how long you've been here and what you did say 5. You said
finished
5.
up my 4th year here.
4th year
Yeah.
here, okay.
Yeah.
And where did you come from
I
previously?
was actually at KCK up north, and
Yeah,
then
we've heard of 'em.
Yeah, and we just beat them today pretty badly in baseball. Which is,
Yeah.
I was there for 9 years, and then very heavily involved with the NJCA. I'm a Region 6 women's director, chair of D2 women's basketball, and I'm involved with some other committees with the NJCA. Our convention is actually in Kansas City, so I was able to get away and come tonight. So, but just trying to make things better. So
Thank you. And who did you bring with you tonight?
we have Coach Rand Chappell and Coach Conrad.
All right.
So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Wait,
We're not quite done.
I was like, I don't think Dr. Mix is done with you.
Yeah, right. Let's have the coaches come up and just very briefly talk about what you guys did together this season that was actually not repeated by any other 4-year or 2-year other college in the country.
Yeah, this could be fact-checked. In fact, I've often walked people, I invite them to fact-check it, and I think we have as well as we could, but the women's program was undefeated in the regular season, perfect 30-0. Men's program was a perfect 29-0. And we've checked with the NJCA, we've checked with the NAIA, we've checked with the NCAA. One of my friends is actually like a statistics guy with the NCAA, and he really did some going through to check. And as far as anybody can find, there's never been a 2 or 4 year school in America that both programs have gone undefeated during a season. So
Tell us who you are.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Rand Chappell, I'm the men's basketball coach.
Wonderful.
And, my team, again, I think it was Johnson County's first undefeated season ever. Personally, it was my first undefeated season. I told them I'd been 29-1 before at another school, but never undefeated. So it was a great accomplishment. I think the guys, the chemistry, the culture we had on our team, we were not the most unbelievably talented team, meaning that we just had superstar, nobody could do it. It was a team effort. We had really 7 guys who took pretty much an equal number of shots, and it was different guys on different nights and playing together, and I think that made it maybe even a little bit more special. Maybe the reason it happened, because you couldn't just focus on this guy's a superstar, let's stop him. So we were proud of that. I'll let Ben talk here in a second. I'm a statistics guy a little bit, but there were 4 undefeated men's teams in the United States this year, 1 other junior college, 1 Division II school in California, and then Miami of Ohio was the Division I team in the national tournament. So there were only 4 men's teams in the United States that were undefeated. So I thought that was pretty cool, and what these guys did. And I don't know. I'm bringing around recruits every day and showing them our campus and talking about what we've accomplished and what we can do here. And it's an easy sell, obviously, with the academics and everything that goes on here. But I have one stat I like to pull out. It's kind of for fun, but it also catches people's attention because sometimes they don't know. In the last 5 years in the state of Kansas in men's basketball, Johnson County has 147 wins in 5 years. There's a team in Lawrence. I think their coach is a guy, Bill Self. He's got 130.
Never heard of him.
Barton County, 127. Butler, 119. Washburn, 116. These are all great programs, but we've really outdistanced them in what we've accomplished. And these guys, I had the sophomore class I had won 31 and 31 games the last 2 years. And that's the most, I think, ever by a class going through. All 5 of them are getting their degrees and going on and getting scholarships. So a lot of good things have happened.
Cool. Thank you. And
Thank you.
we have one more coach.
A question, I think.
Okay, so when Bill retires, I hope they don't try to recruit you up there.
Right.
What's your favorite coaching tip that you give if you're down by a few points and it's like halftime and you got to rally the team?
Well, some of it may all be cliche, but we talk a lot about play the entire 40 minutes, play every second. Games can unbelievably flip, that's for sure. I know before we went to the national tournament, we got on our video stuff and showed different games around the country in the NCAA tournament or conference tournaments where a team would be down 7 points with 40 seconds to go and the game flip. And we actually had a game this year, not quite that severe, but we were playing a team that ended up being a Final Four team in the country. They had us by 14 with 8 minutes to go. And we were able to flip it down the stretch. So, as you know, you need to have fight always all the way to the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a quick question.
Okay, I was gonna have everybody present and then us.
Oh, okay. All right.
If that's all right. Can I put you on hold? I just want to hear from everybody and then we'll let, all the questions will be coming, gentlemen.
Okay, I'll be real quick. I know
Go
you
for
guys
it.
gotta get rolling. What a great answer on the manual Mustang from that's I was just telling her I had an 87 that was 5-liter Mustang that kind of took me back a little bit. Appreciate you guys having us here. It was more fun coming last year because we won it. There's a fine line between winning a national championship and not. A lot of times you have to be really good but you have to be lucky. Like, you have to catch some breaks. And we had a couple really, really unlucky plays down the stretch in the Final Four, and weren't able to get it done. But it was an amazing year. We set the school record for wins, won 35 games, went 35-1. One of the things I'm the most proud of, we got beat on a Friday in the Final Four, and our kids were heartbroken. It was really, really difficult. And you have to turn around at our level, and you have to play the next day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in a third-place game, which is almost impossible. And it's a character check. It really is. You get to see, what kind of character you have. And our kids played hard. They played really well. We beat a really good Illinois Central team and got third. And the way the NJCAA does it, they give you a trophy if you get third. And if you don't get third, you don't get a trophy. So you're coming home with a big trophy in third place, but I think you're coming home with a lot of pride that you were able to show up in that moment. Because I think if you don't have a lot of character, or you are going to, dwell on what happened yesterday, you're not going to play well on that Saturday. So I was really proud of that. Honestly, that meant a lot to me, of how hard our kids played and how well they played in that third place game. But it was, we got really close, but I could kind of recite numbers and wins and all that. We've had a really good run, obviously. But I think the biggest thing that I would like to share really about the team, the program, is just, somebody had mentioned transforming lives earlier, and we're doing that in athletics, in the women's basketball program. I was at the Final Four in Phoenix 2 weeks ago and realized we have 13 former Cavaliers that are making a living, and full-time living, coaching in college basketball. Kids that played for me in the last 18 years here. That's not even talking about the professionals that are nurses, physical therapists, lawyers. That's pretty cool. And so we're transforming lives. Kids are coming in. We have 4 kids right now playing Division I basketball. I think we've got 5 playing Division II. On our current team, Layla Scott is going to sign with Liberty University. That's a kid that came in 2 years ago, not recruited by anybody. She didn't really have anybody recruiting her. She came in, had a great 2 years, added value to herself in terms of as a player and a student, and she had Division I offers, and she's going to go to Liberty. So we have a lot of those stories. I think that's probably the coolest thing about what we do in athletics and in the women's basketball program, is that. But yeah, it was a great year. I wish I had a big old trophy to show you guys, but we weren't able to quite get it done. But yeah, appreciate you guys being here, and it was really a special season for sure.
Thank you. And could you introduce yourself as well?
I'm Ben Conrad.
Coach Conrad, thank you. Okay, now for all the questions, no worries. Trustee Holton, go ahead.
Just a couple quick things. I wanted to confirm, I think both you guys ended up losing to the eventual national champion. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I wanted to call that because I think that's something else, so. This question is for Tony. That piece of paper that Coach Chappell pulled out, it looked like an old piece of paper. Does he bring that out every time there's contract negotiations? And he has the amount of wins he has in the state of Kansas. That's all I have.
All right, any other questions? Trustee Rattan? Oh.
Okay, Coach Conrad, weren't you here last year too for a great record
Yes.
with some girls?
Yeah, we won it last year.
Yeah, so we want to see you every year.
That's right.
We won it last year, and we've had a chance for a bunch of years. They're really hard to win, and they are. I mean, you look at, I think Rand had talked about KU. Their men's program is one of the top 5 programs in the country. They're a blue blood. They're an elite program. If you look at it, I think it's been, 35 years. They've only won it twice, and they're really difficult to win. And so, we just want to be knocking on the door if you're knocking on the door every year, you're gonna knock through that door eventually. So we've done it a couple times. So.
And I like how you connect life skills to sports, because I believe there are so many parallels that people take from sports, especially women. So thanks for what you're doing to build leaders in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you're both doing.
Thank you.
Trustee Carroll, and then Trustee Cross, I understand you have a question. I'll go to you next. Trustee Carroll?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to commend all 3 of you. It's very, very difficult to win at any college level. It's very, very difficult to consistently win. And so I want to commend both of you on that. I do have a question. So how do you keep your team focused when you're undefeated? I've been on undefeated teams, my middle school football team, and we had 8 games, and 4 games in, you couldn't tell us anything, and our coach was all over us. So how do you, playing at this level, how do you keep them focused and also not worried about losing, right? Because then you feel that pressure on your shoulders after so many wins.
I would say it's very, very difficult. Last year, we were 30-0. We were undefeated in the regular season last year. We got upset in the first round of the region, and it's the best thing that could have happened to us. It refocused us. We started having really high-level practices where I felt like we were getting stagnant. You need to get beat, quite honestly, every once in a while. And so it's very hard, to your point, to continue to progress. And when you never lose and you don't have things to show them, and they're 18, 19-year-old kids, so they've got a little different sense of what reality is sometimes. And yeah, it's very hard, and that was a challenge for us. And I think there's been one team on our side, on the women's side, in 20-some years that's ran the table and got all the way through and won it. It's just really, really hard. We beat the number 1 team last year, who was undefeated in the Final Four, and went on and won it. And they were the favored team, and they were having that same situation where they were trying to figure out how to get it right in January and February with a team that hasn't been beat. It's very difficult. If you figure that out, come in and see me.
To your point, I think all 4 of the teams, the men's teams, none of them completed the national championship after going undefeated in the regular season. We talked about it more of a cute note or whatever, but in our season, we got about 10, 12 games into it, and we played a game not very well. That didn't have a real good performance, but we won. And I did bring the guys in and said, hey, we're going to trick ourselves here. We're going to treat that like a loss. We're going to say we lost, and we're going to watch the film like we lost, and we're going to practice like we lost, and go ahead and get all the things corrected. You know what I mean? Let's don't think that we don't need to correct things. And that kind of became a theme for us a little bit. I referenced it back. Let's don't act like we've won them all. Let's act like we still need to get better every day. And I think these guys, had a special group that kind of listened to that.
Thank you. Sure.
Trustee Cross.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And we're very proud of Dr. Mixa and his basketball background, but probably more importantly, his mathematic background and his leadership at various places. And I want to say congratulations. I grew up out in Lawrence, and I did not play basketball. I wrestled and played football, but went to KU. I'll push back a little bit on the 2 titles. I count 2020 because that was stolen from us, so I count that as a title. And then, while saying congratulations to you and how very proud of you we are, we try to emphasize academics here, but many of us are very proud of you and what you've done. I shoot baskets every day, as Trustee Smith Everett and Dr. Nixon know. It saves me money on a club, but it allows me to exchange the oxygen in my blood. And I grew up at a trailer court with a concrete basketball goal, and I was never happier than shooting baskets. So I still shoot about 100 free throws a day. I journaled them all. And last thing, Madam Chair, and I'll shut up. I've read biographies on really anybody I can. Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, Steve Kerr, and I'm fascinated with that Bulls run. And as I was studying that run, all of them contributed key components and aspects to what happened. It's like an Avengers unit, right? Like nobody has the superpower to get us across the finish line. It takes all of you to win and represent us well, and we sure appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cross. Seeing no other questions, I want to thank you all for being here. I will just say that our marketing director is here this evening, Chris Gray, and I hope you have every single one of these people this evening's videos and media, because they are incredible assets for us, and just walking among our community is such a great recruiting tool that is just irreplaceable. And we thank you for all that you're doing, not only to develop and grow the students you have in the seasons that you have, but also helping other people who don't think of us as an athletic institution realize they can come here, grow, and then go on to Division I if they want, or go on to be doctors and lawyers and all the fabulous things our community needs. The other thing is, that guy Self in Lawrence, we talked about a little bit, he's had a rough couple years. I'm just saying, maybe we could start hosting like a coaching symposium or something, you know, and help you guys pass on your knowledge and your skills and, you know, just some nuggets for other places that maybe have not had such strong back-to-back seasons as you all have. Just an idea. I'm just putting it out there. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate what you do for us.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wow, is the meeting over or we have more meeting. We actually have to conduct business.
Right. I hope you get the theme of excellence
Yes.
tonight. And then just the fact of, great work's happening all over the campus. If you think about athletics, these are not only just athletes, they're also getting grades, good grades. Our faculty and staff are helping them through. They're contributing to that. It's just a great atmosphere, and they're wonderful representatives for their college.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
I'm very proud to have them. All right, well, with that, we're going to move on to, the business part. It's not as much fun as all this, but we've still got to do it, which takes us to the open forum portion of our meeting. I understand we have no one signed up tonight. However, if you do wish to speak at one of our meetings, you do need to come 15 minutes prior to the board meeting, sign up outside, and you will be recognized by us during this time where you can come to the board and speak. Since we don't have anyone signed up, I'm not going to read all of that, and we will move on to Student Senate President Oliver Gonzalez, yet another incredible high school student who is also here as a JCCC student. Good evening.
Good evening. Luckily, I have a short report.
Woo!
So recently, as a student senate, we've had elections for next year's or next semester's senators, so our new executive board, our new senators. So I'll probably announce those new executive board members next meeting. And then we've had 2 new funding requests approved from the Student Nursing Association and Alpha Delta Nu, as well as Student Veterans Association. We've had 1 new club, and we recently had our Student Senate Service Week. We helped with the farm here on campus, as well as the Child Development Center, and we celebrate the end of the week at the Golden Scoop. And that's all for my report.
That was a great short report. Any questions for Oliver? All right, seeing none. Oliver, thank you so much. Remind me, are you here with us one more year, next year?
I will be graduating this year.
Afraid that was what you were going to say. Man, so we only have 1 more month.
Yes, I'll miss it.
Okay, well, we're going to miss you, so make sure next month's is a little longer.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
try.
so we can savor every moment. All right, thank you so much, Oliver. Appreciate it.
you guys.
Have a good evening. All right, the next agenda item is college lobbyist Dick Carter. Good evening, Mr. Carter.
Good evening. I sure hope Oliver gets extra credit for being here at 4 o'clock, sitting through the budget workshop. Wish my report was as short. It's just a little bit longer, but I am going to work on keeping it short. I did want to, before I start, address a point that Trustee Holton raised when you were going through the budget workshop, and you were talking about on page 18 and on page 19 the mill levy rate history. And he asked, does this tell a story when looking at page 18 and there's a comparison to the college to other entities in Johnson County that levy a mill rate? Indeed, this does tell a story, and I use it every day at the State House. And we have a dollar chart that demonstrates the amount of property tax in each dollar that goes to the college and to the other governing bodies in the county. It's an incredible story, and the fact that we've had the conversations that you have around the table every year when you look at the budget, it really does help me tell the story in Topeka, especially when we're having these property tax reduction conversations at the state level. So I'll drop those off to you when I walk by, and you can pass them around. It's in a number of documents that we use. It used to be in the annual report, and it still may be. This is a report to the community, and I use it, like I said, almost every day during the legislative session. The legislature adjourned a little bit after 1 a.m. on Saturday, April 11th. They adjourned sine die, meaning that the session is done and all of the business is done. So anything that happens after that time is no longer, the legislature does not have the ability to come back and override any vetoes that may occur or have occurred since their work for the few days that they were here, April 9th through the 11th. And so that means all of the business for the 25-26 biennium, the legislature has a 2-year cycle, is complete. The veto session lived up to its name. The governor vetoed more than 25 bills. I think the number was closer to 27 in the 2026 session, as well as dozens of line item vetoes in the budget bill. The legislature overrode a number of bills and line items, and I'll address a couple of those that impact the college a bit later in my report. All session long, the narrative was really about property taxes and property tax reduction. That doesn't mean the action was always there, but it was always the narrative. No constitutional amendment passed during the session, meaning there won't be a question on the August or November ballot. A hastily assembled property tax bill passed in the last hours of the session, the regular session, before legislators broke and came back for the veto session. It was vetoed by the governor, and there was not an attempt by the legislature to override it. And I think mainly because they knew that the votes weren't there to override the veto. What happened instead was another property tax package was put together that Megan referenced in her report when the budget workshop was in play. And that bill was very similar to how the original property tax bill came out of the House Tax Committee, meaning it had some exceptions and some carve-outs put in place for local units of government to be able to maintain some level of sanity when they're having these budget conversations. Most of those are contained in House Bill 2043. I think Megan pointed out that the bill has a 3% revenue growth limit. And that's something that you'll have to take into consideration if a veto does not occur. The bill has not hit the governor's desk yet, and so once the bill hits her desk, she has 10 days to act, not act, and allow it to become law or veto it. And hopefully, maybe tomorrow is when we'll see that journal entry in the legislative system. But she has 10 days after her office receives the bill to decide what to do. One thing likely impacting the governor's decision very well could be the March revenues. They were down $69 million. Now, state income taxes, corporate income taxes, some of the other taxes that go into making up those state revenues are different than the pot of money that property taxes are. But when you look at the much larger picture, if you're missing the mark at the state level, what does that potentially mean at the local level? And so I think that once the Consensus Revenue Estimating Group, and I think they meet tomorrow, we'll take a look at what they think the next 6 months and year look like with regard to receipts coming into the state's bank account look like. That will inform a lot of decisions, I think, not only moving forward with regard to the budget, but also what those tax conversations look like. Let me talk about a few other bills that impact the college or that we've talked about throughout the legislative session or that I've provided updates on. The pharmacy benefit manager legislation is now law. That's the bill that we talked about having a potential price tag of $165,000 to $180,000 to the college, depending on what that impact looks like. We talked about that, I believe it was in March at the last report that I gave. And that number comes from a third-party manager that oversees some of those health benefits that are offered by the college. I think it remains yet to be seen what will or will not happen. There's a lot of conversation in Topeka about the insurance department doesn't believe that those numbers will materialize like some say they will. But I think the proof will be in the pudding, and we'll have to see what ultimately happens with that. The undocumented immigrant bill was vetoed and not overridden by the legislature. The governor allowed the nursing educator bill to become law without her signature. That was Senate Bill 334 that I mentioned earlier this session, meaning that the nursing educator only had to have one level, a degree above the class that they were teaching. It's probably not the practice that we'll undertake here. It's a permissive bill, but it changes the landscape of what what nursing and nursing training looks like across the state. Kansas legislature overrode the HB 2333, which was dubbed the Kirk Act. It's also called the Kansas Intellectual Rights and Knowledge Act. The law sets requirements around individuals participating in non-commercial expressive activities on college campuses. Will likely fall under that category, and that's just something that we were observing and following throughout the session. There, of course, were changes to the concurrent enrollment agreements on funding streams, as well as changes to Excel and CTE funding. Megan talked a little bit about that in the budget workshop. And I would say that the next thing that we're looking forward to are what legislative post audits will be moving forward. That committee met a week or so ago and started to look at what their priority list looks like for the coming year, as well as interim committees. This will be a light year for interim committees because the House members are running for office. So we have 125 folks out there running for office across the state, meaning that there won't be a lot of legislative work over the course of the summer and fall months. And then there will be lots of election campaigning that goes on. That's one of the reasons why current legislative leadership has accelerated that schedule. They want to get out there, and we've got several legislative leaders that are running for statewide office and other offices. Some of the legislators are running for other offices. So that's what we're going to be spending our time following over the next several months as we approach the end of the calendar year. So I think that's probably a good place to stop, Madam Chair, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay. Any questions from any trustees? Trustee Cross, any questions? All right.
No,
Hearing
thank
none.
you.
Oh. I think that was a no, right?
Thought so, yeah.
Hearing none, I will just say, given what all could have happened, I feel that we came out fairly unscathed, particularly protections for most vulnerable communities that I care about. I felt that the governor's vetoes allowed us to still support students who want to come to Johnson County Community College and still allow us to do our business without tremendous burden from the state legislature that always seems to want to promote local control while also making sure they have control over us. That's a dynamic I will never truly understand. I really refrain from being partisan on this board, and Dick, I will certainly not include you in this next comment, but I just happened to be at a meeting last night until 8 o'clock about the effect that this legislature had on our K-12 schools, and they didn't come out as nice and clean as we did. And so we need to be really considerate to our K-12 partners that they came out really bruised and battered from this legislative session. And if people like what they saw in this legislative session and think that the priorities of tax relief are the most important things to Kansans, then please, by all means, re-elect the 125 members of the House. However, if you feel there are other priorities that are important to Kansans and to our future and to the children and to the communities who are really hurting from the loss of population in Kansas and people leaving in droves, then please, I beg of you, educate yourself, promote legislators that are running for priorities that you align with, get out there and support them, knock doors for them, throw money at them, and tell other people to vote for them, because I have a really hard time convincing my friends in other parts of this country that Kansas is a great place when the things that they hear about the priorities of this state are the nonsense that came out of this legislative session. And I will just keep it to that so that I don't risk any more political nature on this board. Dick, thank you so much for your report this evening. Thank you for keeping us abreast of what seemed like chaos for some of the months. I hope you get a rest and a vacation in the next couple of months to prepare for the next legislative session. So thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we're going to move on to the shared governance report with Caitlin Krumzik and I understand we have some guests with you this evening. Just
The
Caitlin.
Faculty
That's your
Association.
next
That's the next line.
Thank you. I can't read all the lines tonight. That's why I have to have these glasses that
Hey,
I'm not
unfortunately,
wearing.
you just get
So-
me, but it
I
is
was like,
a
wow.
quick report.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Caitlin Krumsick, I'm the director of the Academic Achievement Center, and I am here in my role of co-chair of College Council. So I was fortunate to go to the hospitality luncheon today, and our table was just reflecting on how wild it is that the spring semester is almost over. And with that comes certain things that we do in shared governance. And so right now we are doing our annual review of our bylaws across all three councils, as well as electing new representatives in leadership and representation roles. So those folks will come on next academic year. In ABC, James Leiker will take over as chair, and Jason Gray will move into the vice chair role. ABC hosts their final meeting of the academic year on Monday, April 27th. In Staff Council, nominations for new Staff Council reps will be accepted May 11th through the 20th, with elections following after. Speaking of Staff Council, we hosted a town hall on Tuesday, and the theme was where we've been, what we're doing now, and where we're going. And much of the discussion was reflecting on staff's experience with shared governance, what it means to them, how they've participated and perceived barriers to participation. Similarly, ABC has wrapped up a survey with results forthcoming about faculty and ABC branch members' perception of shared governance. Now that we're several years into our current shared governance model, I think it's a great time for ABC and Staff Council to be asking constituents for their feedback and to allow time to pause and evaluate. How are things going? Is the system working for employees and for the college? And are there areas where adjustments can be made to facilitate more positive communication and collaboration? So those are all questions I anticipate that we'll wrestle with in the coming year, and I look forward to involving many voices in that conversation. But for now, if there are questions, I will take them.
Any questions for Caitlin? Seeing none, I think you get off easy tonight. Thank you, Ms. Krumsick. Have a good evening. All right, now we're going to move to the big group, the Faculty Association, which this evening is being represented by Jonathan Vallejo, Mike, that's why I have to wear my glasses, and Mike Steinmetz.
Yeah, you got it.
Did I do okay? All right. Welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. I told John I'd really try to keep this short. I am very long-winded, so I'm going to go first, and when it's time, John's going to tell me to be quiet. So we're just going to kind of highlight what we've been doing in the HVAC department. I'm an associate professor in the HVAC department, Industrial Technology Division. We recently took a trip to Las Vegas for a conference where we actually were invited to present this year. I'm going to give the story of kind of how we got there, and then I'll let John talk about our experience there. So as John can tell you, like I mentioned, I'm a talker and I'm a networker. Through my experiences with coaching and my prior job as an HVAC technician, I tend to find myself in places I probably don't belong, with people I shouldn't be there with because I have no footing in that room. But it was 4 years ago I was reached out to by the University of Kansas through the National Science Foundation. They were starting a center there called EARTH. Which, if you know anything about academia, everybody loves their acronyms. EARTH stands for the Environmentally Applied Refrigerant Technology Hub. So it has directly, a direct impact on our industry with new refrigerants, emerging refrigerants. So I became a stakeholder there 3 years ago. We're a community college partner with them now. Most of the people that are partnering with them are huge universities, University of Hawaii, Notre Dame, Lehigh, and then you see this little bitty emblem up there that's Johnson County Community College, which is really awesome that we're able to be a part of that. This summer, John and I were both selected as part of an RET program, Research Experience for Teachers through EARTH, where we got to actually spend pretty much the entire summer in their chemical and petroleum engineering department, testing different flammability limits of new and emerging refrigerants, some stuff that's not on the market, some stuff that's proprietary to KU, some stuff that already exists and is currently being used in people's homes. So that was really awesome to see. The technology that we're applying here at the school is being researched in another location. And they're also developing new technology that's, planned to be implemented in the next few years within our industry. So it's great that we have that so close, because one of the things we did over summer was a new class that I put together for the fall, which was the first one in the entire United States that we got to run, which was really awesome. But through that program, we developed a K through 12 package with a bunch of different cross points that go back to HVAC,
looking at all the national science standards and the Common Core math standards from kindergarten through their senior year of high school. It was like 1,800 pages of documents that John and I had to spend numerous days reviewing and going out and picking out what's most important. And in doing that, we worked with the education director at KU for the Earth Center, Casey Williams, the ESCO group, who does a lot of our certifications, and they're our certifying agency. It's actually the company that we're going to for our new accreditation. Got wind of what we were doing and said, hey, we want you guys to go out and present this to the entire conference because we think it's something that's really, really important. So I'll kind of let John talk about that now, what we did while we were there. So,
Awesome. My name is Jonathan Vallejo. I'm the acting chair of the HVAC department. And what we did in Vegas was, as Mike has mentioned, we went to present and just create a document. So like when instructors are trying to teach a new subject, a new standard, and I know when I was going through high school and through elementary school, if an instructor tried to teach me something, my first question was like, where am I going to use this ever again? You know, so kind of like that approach. We match the standards to our industry, like thermodynamics and the Pythagorean theorem. When somebody was, an instructor starting to teach that, and the students don't really understand it, like they want to be able to see it in action, we can come in and bring like a piece of sheet metal, just a flat, sheet, and do some Pythagorean theorem, some measurements, and come up with a ductwork transition that can actually, air can travel through it, through the ductwork, through the structure, and take, fresh air through a space like this, hospitals, anywhere. And from that, we got a lot of, partnerships, and there's a lot of, well, actually, this is an initiative that it hasn't been done before. I know there's, well, at least that we know of. And so we just want to create this resource throughout, it's the United States or maybe around the world, because the HVAC excellence is probably like 800 to 1,000 instructors that are in the trades. They come and they come present like new technology, new initiatives. And we don't know where this is going to go, but, we're happy that, it's representing Johnson County Community College is being represented, and I'm thankful, that I came in. This is my 4th year, and I'm very thankful that I got, to work with Mike Simons. He's been my mentor. Now that I'm taking the chair role, given the opportunity to, evolve in leadership skills and communication. But that's essentially what we did in Vegas. And I don't know, is there any questions?
Oh, I'm sure you did more than that in Vegas. We'll keep it brief for this. Okay, anything else you want to share with us? Like you had something else you wanted to share?
No, I mean, just to add to, it's one thing I always point out, community's in our name, and that's one thing that we really want to focus on, especially in our department alone. We go to a lot of high schools. Fridays, we go to schools. We go to any community event we can go to. Next Thursday, we have a joint community event between Olathe and Blue Valley. It's kind of like a future career fair type thing. So we're going to go there and represent not only Johnson County Community College, but HVAC in general. So, but we do a number at the Olathe schools. We take a trainer, we roll in, and it's either a career fair day or sometimes it's like an alternative career for, it's people who are going to work with their hands, cosmetology, possible going to one of the military, something like that. We tend to find the students that we need to find, which is amazing. So, yeah.
Okay, any questions for these gentlemen? Trustee Rattan.
That is my initials, DR.
Yeah,
So, wow, cutting edge in HVAC, I love that, and emerging technologies. Give me an example of what's emerging and what's out there for technology.
There you go.
Go ahead.
So that's the big thing right now. There's a phase-out schedule for refrigerants.
Like Freon, you mean?
Can I, sorry, can I interject? Because I was going to mention this and I apologize for interjecting. part of Climate Action KC, when we got an educational piece at a conference a couple years ago. It's the #1 polluter in the world, is refrigerant. And so it is the leading contributor to climate change, is refrigerants. So just wanted to provide that so you didn't have to.
So that's probably the biggest thing right now, and it goes hand in hand. We're teaching our certification courses right now for the EPA license. And so the new refrigerants that are on the market, they just actually came out last year. They've eliminated GWP essentially from these, which is global warming potential. Most of the modern refrigerants that people have in their homes are around 2,000, and that's from a 0, so they're taking carbon dioxide as the standard. 410A was at like 2,200 GWP. Before that was R22, it's at like 1,850. The two new refrigerants that are out now for residential use are R454B and R32, and both of those are less than 4. So you're talking
2,000 to 4.
Yeah, and then they have an ODP, which is an ozone depletion potential of 0. So these refrigerants, if they do happen to get vented, they're not going to contribute to the hole in the ozone. They may provide a little more to the greenhouse gas effect, but it's not like it was with the previous refrigerants we were using. So.
And my second question is, thank you for reaching out to the community, and especially what you're doing with K through 12. In this era of everything being either AI or orderable on Amazon, what you're doing is something that's going to always be needed, and that personal touch. And so thank you for what you're doing. And then when you said you're doing with the flame retardants, did you get to actually play with fire?
Yeah, we spent every day setting refrigerant
That
on
sounds
fire
really
in
fun.
a lab space. So
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really cool. So do you want to add anything?
One more thing as a highlight, our programs are growing. As of April 1st was the first day that the students can get on the list for fall 2026. By April 3rd, we're completely full again. So
Wonderful.
It's just amazing to be part of, this institution, and we're really sought after. So.
I think you two are part of the reason why.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah,
Real
Trustee
quick.
Holden.
So I was going to ask about this, but then you said you guys are full. Like, it sounds like you guys have this big recruitment process as part of what you do. But is that what's causing it to get full, is the recruitment process, or is it just like people are showing up? And could you have more people?
So that's...
Are you turning people away, basically?
That's probably a loaded question. We definitely could take more people if we had the space and the instructors to do it. And it's kind of the same problem that everybody in our division has, industrial technology. It's really hard to convince people from our line of work to come here and teach, because it's a significant pay cut to come here. You have to have a passion for education, and that's why we're here. We want to make sure that the next generation of HVAC techs do the job properly, because the people before us obviously did not. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, you can look at our numbers for our department. There's been a significant increase in enrollment in the last 5 years, and that's full enrollment for every class we run, whether it's in morning or at night. And I think that's probably partly to our recruitment efforts, getting out into the community, getting in front of students. We work a lot with Amy Sellers from Career Ready. Most people around here know her. I think tours alone, we've probably seen 900 students this semester alone, and that's from middle schools through high schools. So that helps a lot too. There's a ton of people that support us on campus. I'm actually a JCC graduate. I graduated from here in 2009 from the HVAC program. And I can tell you what we do now is miles better and different than when I was a student here. And that's what I hope that we continue doing, is growing the program and making it better.
Real quick follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead.
What percent of those students are from coming straight out of high school versus coming from somewhere else to Johnson County Community College? Yeah, that's roughly.
I want to say like 50%.
It's probably 50-50. Yeah, where when I was a student, it was more like 90% were coming from a different career.
Yeah.
And that, you've seen a huge shift in the age too of students. When I was a student here, I was the youngest student. When I started teaching here 16 years ago, I was younger than everybody in class as the teacher, because it was most people changing careers. And now there's been a huge shift. Most of our students are under 21 years of age, which is amazing. We're getting people who are interested in our trade early, so we can kind of curtail what has happened, with the environment. And just kind of everything in our industry. I think we're getting them early, and we're going to train them right and put them back out in the community. We have 2 students that, I know one of them's already securing a job in Pennsylvania. We have another one that's going to New Jersey. I think about probably 80% of our students after our career fair already have jobs, and the other ones just haven't taken the initiative to find one yet, so.
Any other questions? Thank you both for being here. I wanted to just say, Trustee Rattan took my comment. It sounded like you got to spend a summer lighting things on fire, which is always a fun way to spend a summer. I appreciate your work on the refrigerant end. As somebody who's very environmentally conscious, when you see that, you're like a bystander who thinks, yeah, but I like my cool air, so what do we do about that? So I appreciate that our students have professors who are conscientious about that, educating them about that on the front edge of like all the new options and variables, and are educated about that for themselves and for our students. I just wanted to say, Mike, in terms of, you're always talking to people you shouldn't, please keep doing that.
I don't intend to stop.
I just, you can't, there's no greater value than free connection with people. And it's what centers us on our humanity, but it also is what lets people know the real story of who they can become and where they can, what they can do, and who we are, which a lot of outside people don't know, especially industry people. And Jonathan, thanks for stepping in as chair. It seems like that may have been something unexpected for you, but I appreciate that you've done it and that you're taking it on and growing in that role. When I came on the board 6 years ago, our building that you guys are in opened, and we were at capacity immediately. I'm a K-12 educator, and I think awareness on the trades has just started to bloom. So we may need to talk about stretching a little more and being able to meet that capacity of the interest that's out there. So thank you. I wanted to say to our board, tonight could not have been better planned if I tried, but in terms of us thinking about our strategic goals and moving forward with our next strategic plan, boy, we have heard from every component, not every, but a lot of the great components of our college that we've got to consider when we're thinking what our strategic goals are and how we, how we need to be ready for what our community needs. So thank you all for your role in that. Have a good evening. All right, Trustee Rattan, that takes us to you and the JCERT report.
All right, JCERT received $1,973,405.10 in sales tax in March 2026. This is down from February 2026 sales tax received, but a little higher than the sales tax received in March of 2025. Each of the 3 university entities received $658,000, and they were made on March 6th of 2026. Everyone on this committee will be meeting on April 27th. And then I'd also like to point out that there was an article on the Johnson County Post that gave a little bit more detail about JCERT, and it emphasized the $1.5 billion economic impact that this 1/8 of 1 cent tax has had since 2009. I would love for you to go and see that article. I'll ask that Caitlin shares it or post it somewhere, but K-State at Olathe, KU Edwards, and the KU Clinical Research Facility in Fairway are benefactors of this money, and it's changing us to be healthier and as well as having an impact on our community. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Trustee Rattan? Hearing none, I'm going to move to the Kansas Association of Community Colleges. Trustee Cross, are you still with us?
Yes.
Oh, Trustee Cross, do you have a report
That
for
happened
us?
fast, sorry.
No worries.
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a report. Are you ready, Madam Chair?
Oh, I am ready.
Are you?
Maybe.
Okay. Madam Chair, the Kansas Association of Community College Trustees met Friday, April, whatever it was, 10th. And we went through a federal update. Heather Morgan took us through a state update and then a legislative update. essentially a lot of what we just talked about. And then we have a new budget that we approved for this year, including the salary for Heather Morgan. There's 419 pages of a document I can send to you all that you're welcome to go through. And she encouraged us to send it to you. So let me know. I'm happy to send it to you. We will meet next, Madam Chair, on June 7th and 8th in Iola at Allen County Community College. Although I think the hotel is in Chanute, 20 miles from Iola, which is some political compromise I'm sure somebody worked out. But yeah, that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Cross. Any questions for Trustee Cross on the KCCC report? All right, seeing none, we're going to move to the foundation report with Trustee Mitchell, who has stepped out. Can I throw a wrench and come back to that after the management? How about that? Kelsey, did you say that's okay? Let's see.
Oh, he's here.
There he is, Trustee Mitchell, just in time for your foundation report.
I had to make a dramatic entrance, I guess.
Yes,
right?
yes.
You looked great coming in like that.
My apologies for my brief absence from the meeting.
No worries.
Foundation report. So JCCC Foundation has collaborated with Fashion Design and Merchandising Department on their final draft fashion runway show, and we are happy to report that the event is sold out. This year, we are also offering a live streaming option for a discounted price. Events for K through 12 audience and general public are both on Friday, April 17th. I believe that's tomorrow. Are you going?
I have my tickets for the first time ever. I'm so excited.
Good. Exciting news for Harvest Dinner. On Friday, August 21st, the foundation will host the annual Harvest Dinner for visiting chefs from the Leewood Restaurant Rye. Chef Colby Geraltz won the 2013 James Beard Award for Best Chef Midwest, and was 2005 Food and Wine to 10 Best New Chef. Stay tuned for tickets to become available. On April 30th, JCCC Foundation is partnering with the STEM Poster Symposium team to raise funds for students selected as winners. Ash Grove Foundation is the title sponsor and is funding $10,000 for student scholarships. Spring Foundation Community Social was held on March 31st. There was a wonderful turnout of community supporters, and we heard from a fantastic auto tech student. My apologies. Spam. I should have turned it off. I apologize. We heard from a fantastic auto tech student who is part of the Type 65 project, the group of students building a Shelby car. And I think we may have heard from the same student today, I'm not sure. Scholarship lunch Tuesday, April 21st, 11:30 to 1 o'clock, Kep Fed Room, Rayner Center, be there or be square. That's me speaking, that's not on the script. JCC Foundation, it's a really great event. JCC Foundation has retained Make Philanthropy Work to help support the Facilities Master Plan capital campaign. Currently, they are conducting a feasibility study. We will continue to report on the progress of this group. JCC Foundation is in the process of creating a board development committee. There will be 2 open seats to be filled for this next fiscal year. If you'd like to nominate anyone to be considered to serve on the foundation board, please reach out to Joy Ginsburg or Jeff Alpert. Jeff has agreed to chair the board development committee. End of year foundation lunch Wednesday, May 13th from 11:30 to 1, Kep Fed Room, Rayner Center. Please join us if you're available. On April 29th, JCC Foundation is partnering with the Midwest Trust Performing Arts staff to hold an informational breakfast for businesses who may be interested in sponsoring Kids Jam and family programming for performing arts. Summer Sips and Scholarships is Wednesday, June 17th from 4 to 6. That is not a Thursday, so it won't conflict with this meeting. It's going to be in the Wiley Hospitality and Culinary Academy. Co-chair is Christy Stewart and Christy Heller. New Hawthorne Bank has agreed to underwrite the event for the second year in a row, which means 100% of the funds raised by attendees will support student scholarships. We hope to raise $30,000 to fund 30 students. Some Enchanted Evening in 2026 will be November 14th, 2026. Co-chairs will be our own Dr. Tony Mixa and his wife Deb. It is the 40th anniversary of the event. We are already 60% to our income goal, and more than 20 tables have been sold. Please reach out to Joy Ginsburg if you or anyone you know is interested in being the sponsor. And that's all I have on the foundation for now. Any questions?
Very good. Any questions for Trustee Mitchell? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the committee reports and recommendations. And our first committee report is Trustee Mitchell.
Yes. It's a good thing I slipped out the back for a moment. Thank you, Madam Chair. The Management and Finance Committee held their meeting at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, April 1st, in this room. Information related to that meeting can be found on pages 1 through 11 of the board packet. The Management and Finance Committee received the following reports from staff. Rob Caffey, Vice President of Information Services and CIO, along with Adam Kaler, Deputy CIO, Executive Director of Academic Technology Services, and John Kumar, Executive Director of Client Support Services, gave the quarterly Information Services report. The report outlined the college's technology replacement processes, as well as governance and policy improvements to ensure responsible stewardship. They also reviewed the college's recently released AI guidelines, approved AI tools, and available AI training resources. Next on the agenda was a budget update. Megan Casey, VP CFO, presented an update on the FY27 budget development process in advance of tonight's annual budget workshop. She provided an update on expected property tax revenue, state aid, and tuition revenue. She also reviewed planned expenses, which include $25 million to support the implementation of the college's new facilities master plan. Nothing new there, really, from tonight, anyway. Then we moved on to other agreements. JCCC Chief of Police Seth Mullins provided details of an agreement with the Johnson County Board of County Commissioners wherein the college would reimburse the Johnson County Mental Health Center for services provided by a mental health co-responder who will partner with the JCCC Police Department to provide student-centered crisis response, supporting student mental health, campus safety, and de-escalation outcomes. Details can be found on the consent agenda portion of tonight's board's packet. From there, we moved on, more or less, to standing agenda items, starting with capital acquisitions and improvements. Tom Hall gave us his normal progress report. On information on facilities projects from the capital acquisitions and improvement matrix. The matrix summarizes and monitorizes budgets and actual expenses for campus services projects and includes payments through March 31st, 2026. He also provided an update on the newly renovated Veteran and Military Student Resource Center located in room 309 in the Commons Building. Finally, the bulk of our meeting was spent discussing procurement reports and recommendations. And now I'm going to go through a whole series of recommendations, but they all follow one another in kind of in order. Jim Fikert, Executive Director, Procurement Services, presented 11 recommendations for our consideration this evening. 9 bids and awards, plus 1 cooperative bid and award, and 1 contract spend increase. Number 1 is the Rayner Center East Wing restrooms renovation. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from CAM Construction in the amount of $1,009,823 with an additional 10% contingency of $100,982 to allow for possible unforeseen costs for a total amount of $1,110,805. And I so move.
Okay, Trustee Mitchell moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Rattan seconds. Any discussion on this Rainier bathroom renovation?
Just want to make a quick point that this was the lowest qualified bidder.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I do. A couple things. Want to know, Tom, if you could speak to how many stalls or I mean, $1 million for a bathroom renovation is pretty significant. Not in my time do I recall us having one this expensive. So how many stalls or people can we accommodate with the bathroom renovation?
So this, actually last year's restrooms were about the same price. This is just a little bit more because it's all night work.
Okay.
And so this is men's and women's on all 3 floors, and it's the east stack of restrooms in the center of the building there.
Okay.
We did the west stack last year, and we're also adding an additional single stall bathroom on the first floor.
My next question. I always ask about single stall because for our trans students, ungendered students, mothers with young children, I think it's really critical that we have them available as much as possible on campus. So with this renovation, we will be adding the one single stall, or there are already single stalls in Rainier?
There are no single stalls in Rainier. This will be the first one in Rainier.
First and only.
In Rainier.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, in Rainier. Okay, I wish there was one on every floor, Tom, as we've talked about every year. I want them everywhere and available for all students and visitors, but I guess we'll take the one. Okay, with that, those are my 2 big questions, just how many bathrooms and the single stall. Any other questions before we move to a vote? Okay, seeing none, we are going to vote on the motion before us about the Rainier renovations. Trustee Cross, are you on the line still? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you were still with us. Thank you, sir. All in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, I believe that's 6 in favor, no opposed. The motion passes. All right, Trustee Mitchell, please proceed.
The second recommendation is for the air handling unit replacement for library LIB building. I will note that this will be funded by a KBOR campus restoration grant. It is the recommendation of the Management Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from BCI Mechanical in the amount of $549,082 with an additional 10% contingency of $54,908 to allow for possible unforeseen costs, for a total amount of $603,990, and I so move.
All right, Trustee Mitchell with the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that Trustee Holton with the second? Trustee Holton with the second.
Second.
Any discussion? Oh, okay.
I was just going to note that the library has 2 air handling units. One has already been replaced, and this will replace the original air handling unit that has never been replaced since the original construction of the building.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Rattan?
I was just going to say, I know during the discussion there was a talk about what's the lifespan. It has a pretty long lifespan once it gets replaced.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what that was, but I was thinking it was in the 20 to 30.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably 20 years, but this one, yeah, as you can see, is 55. So if we maintain them well, we can get a longer life out of them.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Trustee Carroll?
Sure. What is a air handling unit?
And so when you're sitting in the room and you feel the air moving, the air conditioning coming in or the heat coming in, it's the piece of equipment that moves the air for you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to a vote. All in favor, say yes.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes 6-0. All right, moving on to the commercial driver's license.
Right. This is the third recommendation for the CDL additional pads. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from All Pro Asphalt Maintenance in the amount, am I reading the right one here? Yep. In the amount of $457,180 $189 with an additional 10% contingency of $45,719 to allow for possible unforeseen costs, for a total amount of $502,908.
Okay, trustee Mitchell with the motion. Do I have a second? Second, trustee Carroll. Any discussion? Yes, trustee Carroll.
How many pads do we currently have, asphalt pads?
At least,
See, Tom, I told you to stay close.
We have 10 pads. This will add 3 additional.
Any other discussion? Trustee Mitchell?
I was just going to say that this is also the lowest qualified bidder, and this represents an expansion of a very popular and needed, not to mention profitable program here at JCCC.
Okay, trustee Rattan?
I have a question about these pads when we're talking about lifetime, with the trucks driving over them so frequently and being pretty heavy. What does the life of this asphalt or those pads look like?
So that's a good question because it depends on the amount of traffic and the amount of weight on there. Most of these trucks are not loaded, but we also poured 1 cement pad out there for parking of the trucks. So when you park the trucks on an asphalt pad, they have a tendency to it's the same place, they have a tendency to kind of get indents, but I think these pads will go 10 years without much issue because they're asphalt pads. The concrete pad will probably go 20 years without much issue.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, so, and we did discuss also, sorry, thank you. We did discuss also that this program is, like, sustains itself. Like, so it's pretty cool.
Yep. Any other discussion? I would just add my commentary. This is one of the examples of when we're talking about our budget, we build conservatively, and we do that because we never want to overbuild and then not have the people. But we build with intention that if there is enough interest in our programs that we can expand, and this is a great example of that. We anticipated that it would be a growing program. We weren't sure, and it has every year, and it does self-sustain, which financially and fiscally, you know, I'm always comfortable with supporting the growth in. So with that said, we are going to move to a vote. All in favor of the recommendation for the new asphalt pads out at the CDL range, please say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 6-0. All right, trustee Mitchell, moving on.
Yeah, recommendation number 4 is for an industrial training center restroom renovation. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from ServPro of South Tulsa County in the amount of $296,746 with an additional 10% contingency, that's $29,675, to allow for possible unforeseen costs for a total amount not to exceed $326,421. And I so move.
Okay, have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by trustee Cross. Any discussion?
Just noting that this is the lowest qualified bidder.
Thank you, trustee Mitchell. And Tom, you know what I'm going to ask? Will we have any single stalls with this one?
Not with this one. We will be, this is in the BNSF area, and they are, through the funds they pay us and we set aside, it will be paid by BNSF for the remodel. But we do have single stalls in the gym. We do have single stalls in WCMT. We do have single stalls in PAL, which are the 3 buildings closest.
Quite adjacent. Okay. Thank you for that. All right, moving on to a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 6-0. Moving on, trustee Mitchell.
Recommendation number 5 is for roof recovery and roof repairs. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from Premier Contracting in the amount of $392,986 with an additional 10% contingency of $39,299 to allow for possible unforeseen costs and and the proposal from Delta Innovative Services in the amount of $102,133 with an additional 10% contingency of $10,213 to allow for possible unforeseen costs for a total amount of $544,631. And I so move.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Cross. Any discussion?
Less qualified bidder.
Thank you. Are there going to be bathrooms on the roof? Never mind. Okay.
Bathrooms on the
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
0, always the opposite from trustee Cross. Okay, moving on. Trustee Mitchell, go ahead.
Number 6 is bunker gear equipment rental for fire services. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from Turnout Rental Gear for a base year of $90,000 and a total expenditure of $450,000 throughout the renewal options. And I so move.
Okay, I have a
Second.
motion by trustee Mitchell, a second by, it sounded like trustee Cross.
Yes.
Any discussion? Trustee Carroll?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm guessing there's a larger price difference between renting the equipment versus owning it
Yes,
ourselves.
that was the discussion.
So we had discussions about that, and it was determined that maintaining the equipment, cleaning the equipment, and dealing with the equipment as it expired over the period of time would make it actually more expensive to own than to rent. So there was a lot of discussions about that.
Thank you.
Okay.
We also discussed that this one also takes care of itself, right? I think we talked about that when Tom and the team, yeah.
Trustee Holton, anybody else? All right, moving on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did not hear trustee.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? No? Hearing none, motion passes 6-0. Please proceed.
So the next one is for custom programmable logic controller, PLC system and design. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from Freeman Electrical in the amount of $295,524. And I so move.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Cross with the second. Any discussion? Trustee Mitchell?
Yeah, it should be noted that, of course, this is the lowest bidder meeting the specific specifications of the organization. And also, it's important to note that this will be used for instructional purposes as opposed to being utilized as an engineering control system for a college building.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
opposed? No? Hearing none, motion passes 6-0. Please proceed.
Recommendation number 8 is for pavement repairs and improvements. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from Asphaltic Services in the amount of $585,101 with an additional 20% contingency of $117,020 to allow for possible unforeseen costs for a total amount of $702,121. And I so move.
Trustee
Second.
Mitchell with the motion, trustee Rattan with the second. Any discussion? Trustee Mitchell?
Comment about pavement maintenance, that's just kind of an ongoing thing that we're constantly doing here. So this'll keep it funded for a period of time so they don't have to come back to us every time there's a minuscule pavement repair.
Yes,
required.
this and brickwork work seem to come up every month, almost, but, okay, that takes care of a long period of time, that's great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 6-0. Please proceed.
Moving on to recommendation number 9 for construction manager at-risk services for the 2025 Facilities Master Plan Phase 1. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the proposal from McGowan Gordon Construction in the estimated amount of $5,954,700, which includes their $70,000 pre-construction fee and an 8.3% overall construction fee. and I so move.
Okay, I have a motion from trustee Mitchell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Carroll. Any discussion?
This was,
Trustee Rattan?
this was not the lowest bid,
Yep.
and what was the discussion on that?
So there was a little bit of discussion about that, and it was the bid that they were most comfortable with, given the criteria in the RFP. And I will say from my own personal experience that it's not unusual in a situation like this to get someone who is not necessarily the lowest bidder, because there are a lot of sort of other factors to be included in the situation. So, did you want to add something?
I'll add to that, yeah, because we did talk about this, and one of the things that Tom or Rachel brought up was the fact that the lowest bidder hadn't probably worked on a project of this magnitude in the past, and we probably don't want to be the ones that are
You're a guinea pig.
finding them out the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So,
I know you said that it's called construction manager at risk, but it's basically our general contractor for our phase one, correct?
They're doing the project management, they help to keep the costs in line, so if there are cost overruns, I think they're actually at risk for those. They keep you on track, on time, on budget. They help you with value engineering, which could help save money at some point in time in the future. So, and they will likely be the GC as well, but that's to be determined. Tom, anything to add to that?
Yeah, they will manage the construction, and the construction manager at risk is a type of contract. And what it is, and we'll bring this individual projects to you, and you'll have a chance to approve those as a board. But what they do is they do the bidding of the work and the subs, and they put together the estimate of what the project's going to cost. And basically, we gave them a scope of 7 different projects that they'll be working on, and they'll be working with PGAB to develop the best price for each project, and they'll bring that to you, and then they'll get paid their overhead, their percentage on those. But the $70,000 to begin with is before we actually develop a project. They have to pay their people to work on helping develop the project and the pricing. And so that pre-construction is the $70,000. And then once we get into construction, each one of those projects will come to you individually, and you'll have a chance to vote on that project. So the biggest one to begin with, one of the biggest ones is going to be the healthcare project, but we also have several other projects that are in phase one that they'll be managing the construction for those projects.
Any other questions? Hearing none, let's move to a vote. All in favor of the McGowan-Gordon contract, please state yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 6-0. All right, trustee Mitchell?
Recommendation number 10 is for Steelcase Furniture, and I will note this is a cooperative through the Kansas Board of Regents Affinity Agreement. Let me read the recommendation. It is the recommendation of the Management and Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve the cooperative purchase from Circadia for a total estimated expenditure of $171,705, and I so move.
Second.
Second, motion made by trustee Mitchell, seconded by trustee Carroll. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're going to move to a vote. All in favor, please state yes.
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 Any opposed? No. Motion passes 6-0. All right.
Recommendation number 11, on-call architectural services, and I will note that this is a spending increase from a previously approved recommendation. This allows the college to access services on smaller projects without the overhead of RFPs. So it is the recommendation of the Management Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of the college administration to approve an additional $150,000 for a total FY26 amount of $650,000. And I so move.
Okay. Motion made by trustee Mitchell. Do I have a second? Okay, trustee Holden with the second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none. Motion passes 6-0. Trustee Mitchell.
Additionally, there were a number of lower-cost capital acquisitions that fell below the spend threshold requiring board approval that were discussed. And with that, thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Mitchell, for that very thorough report. I need to put Kelsey on the spot, but she has just stepped away. I am so sorry. We are sitting at 3 hours, sitting in these seats, and some of us that are chairs are going to start leaking out of our eyeballs if we don't have a little bit of a break. Is it better to let Trustee Cross and Holton proceed with their reports? We have nothing being recommended to the board without a chair. Do I pass it to Trustee Rattan? Do I pause the meeting? What would you recommend from a
We can
Robert's
take a brief
rules?
break.
I would
And
let the vice chair, while you're
I'm
gone.
ready.
Trustee Rattan, I am going to let you proceed with the next two reports, and I will be back momentarily.
All right. Trustee Cross, please go ahead with Employee Engagement and Development Committee.
We were gonna
Madam
actually
Chair,
put
I
it
believe
over
I'm
to
handing that off to.
Trustee Carroll.
Thank you. The Employee Engagement and Development Committee met on Wednesday, April 1st, 2026. Christina McGee, Vice President of Human Resources, updated the committee on several HR initiatives, including the faculty and staff compensation study, revisions to the HR career webpage, and the development of an interdepartmental project tracking system to support team alignment and provide visibility into HR projects. Ms. McGee reported on the first quarter's investment committee meeting, stating that the group discussed investment trends, reviewed the college's 403B and 457B plans, and received feedback regarding the employee experience. Ms. McGee shared an update on the employee benefits survey, indicating as of last Monday, 700 employees had taken the survey. She also reported the survey response rate by employee category. Ms. McGee relayed that the benefits team would be hosting an event for National Employment Benefits Day, where the team will be on hand to answer benefit questions and offer an opportunity for employees to complete the benefits survey on site. Results of the benefits survey will be shared at the May meeting. Ms. McGee presented information on the success of the Noom app since its inception last year. There are currently 334 employees enrolled with 291 total engaged users. Ms. McGee reported that enhancements are being made to the template for position descriptions in the compensation department in preparation for the upcoming compensation study. Several details are missing from the current template that will be necessary to have for the upcoming study. Ms. McGee shared the time to fill data for calendar year 2026 first quarter. She explained that the time to fill is around 54 days, right in between benchmarks for data reported by the Society for HR Management and Colleges and Universities Professional Association -HR, or CUPA HR. Ms. McGee conveyed that the numbers have remained consistent since last year. Ms. Rachel Haynes, Director of Employment Engagement and Development, shared photos from the National Employee Appreciation Day event recently held at 2 of the JCCC campus locations. Ms. Haynes added that the EE&D team is increasing the number of employee events across campus to help with employee engagement. Ms. Haynes reported on the employee engagement focus groups, feedback stemming from the open-ended questions that were part of the employee survey done last spring. The common themes were career development, workload balance, and leadership communication. Ms. Haynes brought forward details from the sessions held during PLD week in January of this year. And Madam Vice Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any comments? And I will hand it back over to Chair Smith Everett.
Any comments or questions for Trustee Carroll?
I had one, but I need to find it.
Okay.
I appreciate that HR went out to our satellite campuses and worked on employee engagement. That was my comment.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Trustee Carroll? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the Student Success Committee report with Trustee Holton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Student Success Committee met at 10:45 a.m., April 1, 2026, in GEB 137. Dr. Sheila Maupin presented a new cooperative agreement with Emporia State University, and complete details can be found subsequently in the consent agenda of the April 16 board packet. Andrew Lutz, Dean of Computing Sciences and Information Technology, CSIT, provided an update on the division. CSIT consists of 7 programs, with cybersecurity and data analytics seeing significant growth. Dean Lutz discussed the partnership with Oracle and area high schools. Lori Brooks, Professor of Healthcare Information Systems program, provided an update on the program. She said within HCIS, there are 40 majors with approximately 250 students a semester who learn all about health data, configuring, implementing, and maintaining technology, HIPAA, and healthcare workflows. Ms. Brooks shared information about the Health IT Career Mentorship Program that pairs students with experienced professions. The program was developed through a Carl Perkins grant. She said the program is voluntary and helps the students explore the daily responsibilities of health IT professionals. Jacob Keir, Associate Professor, Computer Science and Information Systems, provided an update on the program. He said the data analytics certificate has seen a 290% increase in seats filled from fall 2021 to fall 2025. Mr. Keir said the top fastest growing skills by 2030 are in AI and big data. He said the NSF funded multi-million-dollar initiatives to promote AI education at the community college level. Here at JCCC, a new course, CIS 120 AI Essentials, will be offered for the first time during the fall 2026 semester. Work continues on a 28-credit, 3-semester applied AI certificate to be offered in fall 2027. KBOR is also working on a statewide transfer computer science associate's degree to guarantee all credits transferred to any institution in Kansas. Tom Wheeler, Dean of Industrial Technology, provided an update on the division. He discussed the Career and Technical Education, CTEC, National Academy Railway Sciences, NARS, and STEM programs. The Automotive Technology Program partners with the Mid-American Cobra Club on student projects, including building a Factory 5 racing type C65 coupe. The biggest programs are Automotive Tech, Electrical Tech, and HVAS. Dr. Willis said the Industrial Technology Division also works closely with the college's WDCE. Dr. Terry Harrison, Director of NARS, discussed the relationship with BNSF. She said the partnership brings about 200 BNSF students to campus each week and generates an estimated $75 to $100 million a year for the area. James Burns, Associate Professor, Profession Electrical Technology, provided an update on the program. JCCC graduates from the Electrical Technology program are very prepared to work in the industry. Madam Chair, that completes my report.
Any questions for Trustee Holton on the Student Success Committee? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to the Treasurer's report with the ever-present Trustee Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and if you don't mind, point of personal privilege, I'd like to thank Megan Casey for helping me to remember that July through February is indeed 8 months and not 7, which was critical for me to understanding the Treasurer report this month. But anyway, the board packet includes the Treasurer's report for the month ended February 28th, 2026. Some items of note include, page 1 includes the general post-secondary technical education funds, which are the primary operating funds of the college. Ad valorem tax distribution of $7 million was received in March and will be reflected in next month's report. The college's unencumbered cash balance as of February 28th, 2026 in all funds was $186 million, which is approximately $4 million higher than the same time last year. Expenditures of the primary operating funds are within approved budgetary limits. And with that, it is the recommendation of the college administration that the Board of Trustees approve the Treasurer's report for the month ended February 2026, subject to audit. And I so move.
All right, Trustee Mitchell with a motion. Do I have a second for the Treasurer's report?
Second.
Trustee Carroll with the second. And any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Trustee Rattan?
Yes.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Trustee Mitchell for your treasurer's report. Dr. Mixa, 3 hours, 10 minutes. You have been sitting here waiting patiently
It is the best.
for your president's report. I hope
Better be
it's the
good.
best one ever. Please provide us with your monthly
This is
report.
mile 20 of the marathon. This is where you have to focus in.
Yep.
You have to really get the job done.
Walk
so.
in.
All right, here we go. Hospitality management. Faculty chef Nick Wasserman and Crystal Tatum took the JCC culinary team to the ACF Central Region competition. They got 4th place finish in the Team of the Year category, and they got a 4th place finish in the Student Pastry category. We are getting finishes in great places all over the place. We had a great employee engagement opportunity today. When you gave me a jingle, I was out at the baseball field, not just hanging out. I was at an employee engagement opportunity. So it was faculty and staff day at the baseball and softball game. It was great seeing so many employees. We got a nice picture. I'll throw it up there on Instagram when I get a chance. That we were watching the baseball and softball team. The 2 games that we watched, they in softball it's 8 rundum, and then in baseball they 10 rundum. So it was awesome. Softball is 12th in the nation right now, and baseball is number 1 in the nation. So that is great. They're doing wonderful. So maybe we'll get a national championship there. I got to go to the AACC conference in Seattle I just got back on Tuesday night. Got to watch faculty members Wendy Turner and Elaine Humbre present on their National Science Foundation grant. They did an awesome job. Currently, Whitney is teaching college algebra through our College Quick Step program. And the great thing about it is they are looking to expand that program from just doing college algebra to now also doing Introduction to Statistics. I got a good feeling that I'm trying to get to the 20,000 credit students, 20,000 non-credit students. That initiative alone might take us over the top.
Yeah.
It might be time to say 45, 40, 40. Just kidding, of course.
Just for statistics.
Yes, right. In sustainability news, JCCC recently crossed the 1 million pound mark for food composted since 2011. That is a lot of food. Awesome. That's why we're the #1 community college in sustainability. So a big shout out to Michael Ray, the sustainability project manager who set it up, and Crystal Anton, the zero waste coordinator. On Friday night last week, before we left to Seattle, Deb and I went to Night at the Nelson. First off, the Nelson is an awesome museum, great artwork there. I cannot wait to go back. I saw some amazing stuff. So that was really great. But the even cooler part is our faculty and staff gave some great talks on some really interesting pieces. A lot of people did great work. I know I'll leave somebody out when I say this, but I got to see Allison Smith, faculty member in art, do a great talk on the doors that are on the chapel in a church in Florence, and there's only 2 copies of them in the world, and we happen to have one of them here in Kansas City. Very cool to take a look at. And then last but not least, graduation is bearing down on us very quickly, so I hope you guys have every ceremony on your calendar and you're ready to go. And you all have the hats, correct? Okay. The college is beginning the prep, the beanies, right? You got to wear them. Smaller ceremonies are going to be getting, actually, it's May 2nd, the clear certificate ceremony will happen. But graduation, the big one, will be on May 21st. We have a student speaker, which is Chastity Stymons, and we have the graduation speaker, somebody I don't know, hopefully they'll do a great job, Deb Mixa.
So they were vetted before they were?
Well,
Gosh.
but anyway, so no, she'll do a wonderful job. Chris has worked with her, so she doesn't do a wonderful job. Chris. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much.
All right. Any questions for Dr. Mixa?
Quick comment, in the past, we have worn gown and as applicable hood, but we have not had caps or mortarboard. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was making a wholesale change.
You're like,
I thought there was
Dr.
things
Mixa
happening.
was inventing something.
I like people wearing their hats.
Trucker caps, maybe?
Yeah, right. Just kidding. So thank you very much.
Yes, Trustee Holton.
So I do have a question.
Oh,
So
sure.
I think it was last semester, and I don't know if you still do this, but you were driving around on the golf cart, picking up students and chatting with them?
Yes, so
Is
this
an
semester.
ongoing, is this an ongoing thing, or?
I'll probably do it in the fall when we start. I bumped
you got
into a
in trouble.
tree and scuffed the thing, so they made me take
Probation.
some time off. I'm on suspension. But
Probation.
what I did for this spring is I went around and interviewed students. Hopefully I'll get back to do that again. I have somebody that keeps scheduling my calendar really tight, and I haven't been able to get out as much as I normally do, so.
I didn't know if Tom took away your privileges on the golf.
They
kinda
took his
did,
wheels.
right,
Yeah,
It's like I
Although
tried.
the video did win an award
It did,
at a conference, was that right? And it once.
It was this annual award.
Okay, it just won an award, so I mean, giving him back the wheels does have its benefits, but also the liability costs go up for us, so something to consider, yeah. Trustee Holden,
High
any-
expectations now.
I know.
It's like these guys winning national championships. Like, I mean,
Right.
any other questions for Dr. Mixa? Okay, seeing none, Dr. Mixa, we appreciate your report, and we are ready to move on to new business. I am not aware of any new business, and therefore we will move on to old business. I'm also not aware of any old business, which takes us to our consent agenda. The consent agenda is a portion of our board meeting that is a combination of routine recommendations, affiliations, articulations, and so forth that we take up in one motion. Do I have a motion to take up the consent agenda as presented in your,
I did forget one thing.
oh, okay. Trustee
There,
Mixa.
I'm sorry about this. I just want to let Chief Mullis know he's on notice. We've got a big hula hoop competition.
Oh,
Chief Mullis is going down.
man.
I was not, do we have other officers in here that can keep the peace? I don't know if,
Is this going to be
It's gonna get really
broadcast
heated,
live?
or-
I mean, where are we
is
seeing?
this
Is
being streamed live on our YouTube channel?
that the gym?
You might not want that.
No? Wow, I didn't realize it was gonna be that heated of a meeting, so
wanna see
I
we
can
need to.
put it out to my network.
This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Is this part of the 40, getting us to the 44?
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to put that out to my network and let them know. Just let me know.
I know a hula hoop coach if you need one.
I may need one. Sorry about that.
Okay, can we carry on with the business of this board, please? Do I have a motion to consider the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Trustee Mitchell with the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second with trustee
Second.
Carroll. All in favor of the consent agenda as presented in your board packet, say, oh, sorry, do we have any discussion? Or any items on the consent agenda anyone would like to pull off for separate discussion?
Just a quick comment. I did not mean to make the motion and second it.
Yeah, that's Robert's
Really,
rules.
someone else seconded it.
It's
so-
becoming delirious at the
Yeah.
3.5 hour mark here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, we have had discussion, we are moving on to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Trustee Cross, for continuing to chime in from the ceiling. That does take us to our executive session for the evening. Let me make sure I follow my agenda all the way through. I got the consent agenda, okay. Moving on to the executive session. I would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session for consultation with legal counsel regarding bargaining unit legal matters, which would be deemed privilege in the attorney-client relationship. No action will be taken during this session. The executive session will last for 30 minutes. I am going to give us a little more time than usual and say 25. Can we begin at 25, or can we have a matter of business that is not for the board, but for some lovely employees of ours that we would like to recognize. We also may need to take a little break individually. Want to get both those things done before we go in executive session. So I'm going to say that we are going to start at 7:25, which means we will conclude at 7:55. Does anybody double check my math on that? We are doing 7:25 to 7:55 for a 30-minute.
You can about do 20 minutes if you want to.
That's what I was thinking. I didn't think, okay, we're going to go for a 20-minute executive session. I don't think this matter will take too much discussion. So we'll do 7:25 to 7:45, at which time open session will resume at the same location. Invited to join the executive session are all board members present, Dr. Mixa and Kelsey Nazar. Do I have a motion for executive session tonight?
So moved.
Trustee
Second.
Tan with a motion, trustee Mitchell with a second. All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. We will meet in the Lytle Room at 25 after. All right, good evening. We are back from executive session. It is 7:47 with the glare on the clock there. And we have returned from our executive session where no action was taken. I will move to a motion for adjournment. Do I have a motion? Trustee Mitchell?
Second.
And a second by trustee Carroll. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Let's go home. 6-0, 5-4. There's a bunch of people here. They all voted in favor. Have a good evening.